Welcome everybody to the Texture Pop Podcast. Same day every week, I think.
Unprofessionalism at its finest.
That's right. Getting the t-shirts made. It's
Yep.
gonna be half done.
Find it for 20. You can find it for $25 at Hot Topic.
They come in black and black.
Yep.
All right.
I know you said Hot Topic, but I heard Hot Pockets.
I was at a Hot
same
Topic
difference,
earlier.
really.
You were off at Hot Pockets.
Could buy Hot Pocket shirts at Hot Topic.
Hot Pockets. You're about to be sick.
About to be violently sick. Yeah. Thank you from our sponsor, Hot Pockets, for sponsoring this video. I am now going to go shit my entire guts out.
Yeah.
I'm eating half Hot Pocket.
Only
Anyway,
half of it was warm.
outside is blisteringly hot, and the inside is
Yeah.
frozen solid. It's block
Sometimes
ice.
the other way around. It's
How do you guys cook your Hot Pockets? I've never had that issue.
Really?
No, I
I always
haven't.
microwave them, but it's like there's always a cold spot on them.
I have found the best way.
I put mine in the oven.
Yep. That was just what I was going to say.
I don't
The
got
best
time
way
for
I
that. I
found.
gotta go shit my guts out soon.
Yeah, I know.
I don't have time to wait.
I know, but
There's no time.
Then you put them in before you want them, obviously.
you pre-prep Hot Pockets for when you want them later.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna want them at lunch, so I cook them before lunch starts. Obviously.
The thing is, I don't ever want Hot Pockets. I eat them because I'm going to die if I don't. Like, I'm alone on some island. It's like, well, it's either eat Hot Pockets and I'll get to go home tomorrow, or don't eat Hot Pockets and I'll die. And I have to think about it.
You have to
I
think
use
about
it's
it.
it's like you're eating them for the nutrition you need, and I use the term nutrition lightly when it comes to Hot
I
Pockets.
just need the calories inside me. Anyway, this is your first time watching. I am the host, Sam Callahan. And with me, we have Mr. Brandon Carey.
Sarah was finally home after a long day at university. Lightning! Stop humping the Christmas tree!
I'm so glad you got that in time for the holidays.
I have a second part to that one.
It's true.
It had been hours and Light still wouldn't stop humming the Christmas tree. Sarah gave up and got her iPhone out to film her drunk sister.
And I remember I responded to that one. Because that's what I do on Twitter. And of course, Chris
Thank you for
Acharya.
our sponsor, Final Fantasy 13 Fanfictions.
Check them out on Twitter.
They don't know they're a sponsor yet, but they will soon.
I'm pretty sure I told them that. Anyway, and of course, Chris Acharya.
If Lightning would have been humping a Christmas tree out of Doctor Who, it would have murdered her. That's,
Reminds me I need to go play FF13 sometime.
or watch Doctor Who.
Yeah, true. Same difference, really.
Or
Watch it
Boku
on
no
Netflix.
Pico.
I've already watched all of Boku no Pico with my gay roommate.
I don't
Back
even
in
know what that
college.
is.
I don't know, but they mentioned a lot during Final
Have you
Fantasy
guys
Wait, did we
really
mention-
not see Boku no Pico?
Wait. Did we if we mentioned it on a podcast before, please don't talk about it again.
No, we mentioned it. They mentioned a lot on 13 Fanfiction, the Twitter. Like a lot of the
Okay,
fanfiction involves specifically Lightning watching Boku no Pico.
Oh God.
I can't believe you guys haven't actually seen that.
Uh,
You haven't watched all 3 glorious episodes. They just
Well,
make you
I'm
want to
too
jam a
busy
pencil through your
watching-
eyeballs.
I can't watch anime. I'm too busy watching this My Little Pony movie.
I'm not
Or
sure I
that-
even
that-
want to call
yes.
it anime. Mostly because I don't want it to be referenced in the same general area as anime.
in the same general area. That sounds sexual.
Wow.
It is. The show is, though. You obviously haven't seen it. I
What
can't.
made-
If
what
I
would have
explain
possibly
it, the
made you
cops
think
will
that I
take
had?
me away before the podcast is over. I cannot explain the plot out loud to you. I will be arrested.
Then please don't.
So go watch it yourself.
I don't know. I've always wanted to get Sam arrested.
Well, you'll have a good opportunity later then. Anyway, I should probably check for viewer mail. I didn't do that earlier. Just too distracted.
We spent literally like 20 minutes talking before the cast.
I'm
only
checking
now
the
do you check
mail.
email.
We didn't get an email. Done.
Okay.
Fucking
This-
close
this
shop.
This is how
It's over.
professional. This is how serious we take this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. This is
Did we get
such
mail? We didn't get mail. Okay, moving on. There we go. That's
such
the podcast.
curiosity.
That's the
So
podcast.
news.
Okay. News me.
I heard an
Uh,
interesting story the other day.
What was it?
Rise of the Tomb Raider is actually being published by Microsoft, not Square Enix.
Hmm. Wait a minute. Yeah, because wasn't there a thing that didn't they have an exclusivity deal with that?
Time exclusive, but
yeah.
if they're
okay.
the publisher, I don't know how that works.
That's weird. Because it's like, it didn't phase me too much because I'm like, can I still play it on PC? Okay.
Yeah,
But
that's all I care about.
yeah, but because maybe people were just maybe because all the fucking jokes every journalist made about the timed
Unchartedness.
exclusive, yeah, about well, not just that, but like the timed exclusive of like Microsoft wants to come out and say it's like we got an exclusive deal, and it's like
And
that's
to
only
me,
gonna
this
last.
deal makes about as much sense as the whole Street Fighter V thing
Yeah,
being exclusive to Sony. Like, I don't get either one of those deals. I'm being totally honest.
it's like this version of Street Fighter V is going to be exclusive, but what about the next version that Capcom decides to put
Yeah, I
out?
guess that makes sense for Capcom because they can
And
just say
the
that.
ones after that's who knows.
But yeah, I wonder how that's going to affect PS4 owners. Because for me, I'm probably just going to end up upgrading my PC
Which you
and
very
just
well
playing it
should.
on that.
I'm trying to see if Master Chief Collection is not broken, but I can't tell. My guess is yes. And I'm going to assume the Drive Club is never going to get the weather update and it's going to be broken forever. And it's never coming on PS Plus.
What
That's
about
also
the
happening.
crew? Something happened about the crew, right?
I saw 2 reviews of the crew. They were just like, the crew is cool in concept, but don't play it. And then I talked to George Super Bunny Hop Weedman himself about the crew. And I was like, George, I want to go play the crew. And he's like, no! And I'm like, I want to go buy the crew. He's like, no, please don't. I was like, I gotta go buy it. I want to like the crew so much, conceptually. Like, driving
Yeah.
across the entire United States in a big open world. But it's
Like
just
I
no.
liked the idea of a racing driving sims kind of game that maybe has a little bit like the customization stuff looked really okay, and the idea of you and your friends cooperatively completing like driving missions and stuff, like I liked that.
I love the words "really okay."
I
What's
don't
the
know.
drive? How's the driving? It looks really decent.
I mean, maybe if it goes like super cheap
Not
at some
great,
point, I'll just buy
decent.
like a 4-pack of them and be like, all right, we're just gonna play this game for like a weekend.
Like we
So-
did with Gauntlet, we still need to redo that recording.
Yeah, we got like 8 games we gotta play.
Sam, let me ask you something.
Oh,
As
geez.
somebody who has played probably almost every Call of Duty game that's been released up to this point, right?
Except the portable ones, which I think I even played one of those. I'm not sure.
Who cares?
Yeah, I
Who
played,
cares
I
about
played all
those?
the mainline Call of Duty.
Yeah,
every
yeah.
single one.
Nobody gives a shit about the portable ones.
Really,
But how do you feel about DLC weapons? Because apparently that's a thing happening.
Oh, I don't know. Like, I almost say that'd be good, although they're not going to do it the way I think they would, because back when the season pass, we talked about the map packs thing, I got really pissed off, and I don't think I ever said it out loud, but I feel like if Call of Duty's going to charge, it's like 40, 50 bucks for a season pass now,
Yeah.
that it should be like, you get new maps, camos, guns, special equipment, like, just all kinds of shit. And I don't hate the idea of DLC exclusive guns, but you really have to worry if they're going to be like pay-to-win guns, if they are just
Yeah,
better
that's-
I
than
have
other
another
guns.
story if you guys are interested, but you're not going to like it.
Well, we'll get to that. But yeah,
guns.
the idea of if somebody puts out a gun that's like better than everybody else and it's DLC, then like what you can't just fucking break the balance in your game. And that's always a tricky thing, like with fighting games, you introduce a new character, you have to make sure that shit is balanced and like this guy isn't the end all be all
It's
the
a
fucking
brand new
roster.
weapon, not a reskin.
They haven't said the specifics on like what the DLC is because
I would suspect a reskin, honestly.
possibly like the article in Destructoid that I'm looking at, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, they get a DLC pack that's offering some new guns, and according to this, the first DLC pack hasn't officially dropped yet. Season pass owners get the free DLC early.
Season
Of
pass
course.
owners get free DLC.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. You
Yeah.
pay for it.
Yep.
In
Starting
advance.
now, you can and this is the funny part. I meant to say, quote, Xbox owners get said weapons first, because there's still that whole thing where, like, you're on Xbox One,
get like a month early for everything.
yeah. Starting now, you can download the weapon pack before the Havoc add-on drops, and it comes with an energy
Oh, they're
assault
gonna add
rifle.
Havoc physics in the game? That's great. I love Dark Souls. People
Comes
flying
with-
around.
Comes with an energy assault rifle and an alternative skin.
Okay.
So, who knows what that will be like, or how that'll affect weapon balance in that game. But who cares? They're only going to play it until this holiday season when new COD drops, so... maybe
Wait,
they
you
don't
mean
give
next,
a...
You mean next holiday season?
Oh yeah, next holiday season, my bad.
Yeah. It's the new Treyarch game? Yes.
Think so.
Infinity Ward did Ghosts.
Mm.
trying to keep track of this now. We have a
No, a new development house did Advanced Warfare.
Yeah, I'm talking
Sledgehammer.
about next year.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm trying to keep track of the rotation.
Yeah.
So next year would be Treyarch's turn.
Yep.
And it would be their first 3-year Call of Duty. Or 2-year, or I don't fucking know how they work. I don't know. Like, I would personally just say don't charge as much for the season pass, but with that in mind, I guess people should be rewarded for paying the stupid amount of money the season pass costs with
I mean,
something
it's
more
like-
than maps.
Yeah, and then it's like, at least with Battlefield, not that I defend it, but at least Battlefield, they kind of say it's like, well, it's not just season pass. This is premium membership. I don't know if the wording changes that at all, but
I mean, I would give Battlefield much more credit than Call of Duty because they charge the same thing, $50, which is a lot. But with Battlefield Premium, you get more weapons, scopes, camos, early access to maps. Now you get part of the beta testing community.
see, the weapons is what makes me feel like it starts to get kind of gross, though. Like,
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think what Battlefield did with it.
I understand where
Battlefield,
Chris is
they
coming
gave
from,
you
'cause I kind
a
of
new
agree with
assault
him.
rifle, I think a new shotgun, and the last DLC gave you a bow and arrow called the
Man,
Phantom Bow.
hmm.
Bow and arrow is broken in terms of like it's terrible broken, not like it's good
Oh.
broken.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'd be interested to see what people say about this. I mean, as far as, like, trying to encourage people, not to just jump in and buy season passes and shit right away, with the number of people that buy shit related to Call of Duty.
At some point, it's just like people are really into Call of Duty, like they're getting their money's worth and they're
Yeah,
willing to pay more.
people still buy Madden every fucking year, and it's like,
Eh.
whatever. But Brandon, you had something.
oh yes. This is about Destiny.
Oh, great! Is it about that great DLC that it was so great and everybody loved it?
It's about the DLC, but not what you're thinking.
Okay.
There are certain content, like the MMO style raids and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
If you don't buy the DLC, you cannot play those anymore.
Yeah, they changed the weeklies up, which are weekly strikes and raids and stuff.
Yeah,
Wait, for what?
So
for Destiny.
to put this
if
in
you
context, basically the end game of Destiny is you do all the campaign missions, and then you build up to the raids and the strikes that are weekly. Like once a week you get to go into a very special mission with a small group of people and do a super long dungeon. Now that the DLC has dropped, instead of creating 2 playlists for people with and without the DLC, if you do buy the DLC, you have nothing to play this week. If you got to the end game of Destiny, like say you hit it the day before the DLC came out, you have nothing to do for the end game. All you can do is replay story missions or whatever, but there's no
Right.
final raid you can do this week.
Because you didn't buy the DLC and because you're a pussy.
What?
And Bungie doesn't like
Yeah,
you.
you cannot do the raid that you
Holy
possibly
shit!
played months or even maybe just weeks to getting yourself ready for. Maybe today was the day that you got all your friends together, the one time for the month, and you said, "All right, we're gonna play this raid." Oh, we can't play because the DLC dropped. Well, everybody go home.
Yeah, that's a story. That's something that happened.
Which I think is the thing that people don't consider. Is I've seen a lot of people like, well, just buy the DLC, and it's like, what if you just bought Destiny like 2
Yeah.
weeks ago, and you just now got to the final part, and you don't get to play the end game?
No, it's like it's this whole thing of Activision, Bungie, both. Who cares? They want to treat it like an MMO, and it's like if Warcraft was doing
They
the
want to
same
have their
shit,
cake and eat it too.
To be fair,
Yeah.
though, Destiny does. I know we make jokes about Destiny's content. It doesn't have enough for an MMO, and 2, MMOs don't release DLC, paid DLC, that early. They usually wait like a
No.
year.
Like when it's a substantial piece of content that you could actually sell in a
Yeah.
quote unquote expansion.
Like Guild Wars did the thing where like they had a new thing every month, but it was always free, and then their huge pieces of content would be paid DLC.
Right.
You know, World of Warcraft does the same deal, where like, you know, once every year or two you get a new piece of DLC, but otherwise you get free stuff every few months.
Yeah.
And
know,
World
I
of
mean-
Warcraft, which is actually owned by Activision.
And granted, I'm sure some people would say that it's an unfair comparison since WoW is something that still charges a subscription service where
But Guild Wars
Destiny
doesn't. And Guild Wars you get free stuff.
no, Guild Wars doesn't, obviously.
Trying to think of MMOs. It's one of those things of like, I'm gonna try to completely not talk about the content issue that Destiny has, but it really bugs me is like I just described, where, you know, there's any multitude of reasons that could really suck for somebody. Either you just got to that part, or like I just said, what if you just got your friends together for one weekend? Because I'm having trouble trying to get my friends together to watch anime at my place every weekend. So I can imagine that like this might be like the 1 week out of the month you're like, all right, we're gonna finally do this, and it's gonna happen, and then just you're fucked. Like I don't think there's any forewarning either. Like I
then
don't think they ever
Bungie just
said
goes,
this
"Nope."
raid will not be available this week. I think it just happened.
Like going back to World of Warcraft, imagine if they did something like that to where it's like it's an end game raid, but like during whatever time frame it's not available. Like every raid is always fucking available in that game, as far to my knowledge. I mean, granted, I don't
believe so.
Yeah, I don't play it on a regular basis, and I'm pretty sure the same case is true for Guild Wars.
I'm
but
sure there's some super incredibly rare stuff that's timed, but it's mostly
There-
like you
yeah,
get a special piece
like-
of loot for the season. But
like
for the
seasonal
most
stuff.
case, like yeah, the end game is the end game.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, that's my question about Destiny. Like, is this supposed to be a seasonal thing, or because if it's something that people are paying for, then
It's
yes,
paid
of
DLC.
course.
The
we're
P
referring
DLC, you pay to get this new raid, which takes over the old raid that you were supposed to do at the end game.
But
But you have to pay for this one.
that sounds
So
so
now,
fucking...
so to put it in a very harsh way, if you wanted to play the end game of Destiny this week, or maybe last week, I don't know if it continued, then you have to pay an extra $20 to play the raid this week.
This really
And
just sounds
everyone
like
you wanted to play with also has to pay that same $20.
Yeah, because there's no
This-
friend matching thing. There's no find group function still, and they said they will not add one. So you have to have friends, specifically who will play Destiny
Oh
with
my
you, that
God.
you know. Because every MMO in the world has a looking for group function, but Destiny says no.
Those are such fucked edge cases, though. Like, it's almost as if they have designed this to age poorly. This is not something that like maybe
No, they have a 10-year plan, Acharky. They have a 10-year plan.
their
Destiny
10-year
3
plan
is
is to
gonna
sell
nail
you
it,
a new
man.
fucking. Their 10-year plan is to have you buy a new fucking disc every year.
That's right, man. Destiny 3, it's gonna be great.
I mean, they've already said, yeah, we're working on Destiny 2, yeah, because they're gonna try to get it out for next fucking September.
Pretty much.
Yeah, what bugs me more like
Holy
is
shit.
that I think it was the article I read brought up the looking for group function, which still pisses me off because the idea that Bungie thinks that everybody in the world has 3 friends that'll play Destiny with them, because you can't do those raids alone. They will fuck you if you try to play them alone. So unless you go to a forum to go find somebody, there is no matching with random people. Because, you know, I think people understand the idea that you could get fucked if you get matched with random people. Like, you know, people are assholes and they might grief you. But give them the option. You know, just have a warning that says, warning, your gameplay experience might suck.
Yeah.
But, like, it's, I'm not sure how I describe it, like, not pompous or something like that. Just so then to say, oh, yes, if you don't have enough friends, you might as well not play the end game.
It's also
Yeah,
kind of funny
Fuck you think you're better than me.
because my store where I work, we thought that Destiny was going to sell like a motherfucker when it first came out, and
It
so
didn't.
we got a lot of copies in the store. We still have many of those copies still in the store.
I remember Black Friday, not Black Friday morning, but late in the afternoon, I had stopped into a local Walmart and they had like some games that were being sold super cheap throughout that day, and Destiny was marked down to like $35. I still didn't think it was worth it. I was
I've
just
had people who bought the Destiny bundle for the white PS3 and didn't give a shit about Destiny. No joke.
as they shouldn't have.
I don't blame them. Because it's basically free if you buy that bundle, right? Like, it's still
Yeah.
$400? Yeah.
Well, no, it's
Yeah.
$450.
Ah, well. I would not be surprised people paying an extra $50 for a special edition console.
Or like a white PS3.
Yeah.
Or 4, excuse me. Man, it's fucking...
It's hard not to talk about Destiny without talking about the content problem, and this
Like,
really doesn't help their case.
No, this really was like...
This really makes their case so much worse, because if you don't buy the DLC, you've just lost what little content was actually there.
Like, the further we keep going into this generation, and I know this is probably something I brought up before, but it's like, the further we keep going in this generation, I constantly feel like publishers are never giving their development teams enough time to make a game that's going to take advantage of like what new hardware is capable of, because as we get new hardware, games are going to need more and more and more and more resources to take advantage of like high textures and all the animations and all that shit. It's going to take longer and longer, and publishers will not wait that long. They want it done in like a year tops. And you can't fucking do that because you're going to put out something that's half broken, and you're going to try to get a patch out on day one before people get their hands on it. Destiny just sounds like the most gross example of this. You didn't even have half of the content there when the fucking game came out. Like,
yeah, should we also talk about what content is in the DLC? Because
like,
I'm pretty aware of it.
How fucking finished is the game when it comes out anymore? Like,
it's just not anymore.
That's what the next
shit.
gen has been about, it seems, as unfinished games and glitches.
And day one patches that are like 20 gigs. For the
God.
Master Chief Collection.
And it's like, and I get like there's a good way and a bad way to done DLC. We know, and I don't want to get into that, but it's just like their whatever their strategy is for Destiny.
I
it's
think it
not
backs that
working.
initial promised DLC, it's like the Shivering Isles and whatnot, and I feel disappointed.
Man, I just realized that too. I mean, to be fair, we've had DLC since the 90s with like box DLC. Although they were called...
Expansion.
Although that would be
Expansion
DLC, that would
packs,
be
you mean.
expansion pack. But that's what DLC basically became, or what it was supposed to be. Was
Yeah.
virtual expansions, like Shivering Isles, which is like, check out this entirely new thing with new content brimming from it. And now it's like, check out this thing that probably could have fit right into the game and made it a little better.
Fucking Morrowind, you know, another Elder Scrolls game. Like when that had expansions, it had fucking expansions. Here's 2 whole new places you can go to that wasn't already in this massive ass game. Because
Skyrim kind of falls
And even Skyrim did well in its expansions with the time.
It
Yeah,
faltered a little bit, but they had a... Well, it wasn't called... What was the one where you go to Morrowind?
Soulsheim. Oh, I'm sorry, that was
No.
Dragonborn.
Yeah, I thought it was called
Yeah,
Dragonborn. Yeah.
And the vampire one was okay, not great.
Yeah. So I should tell you though that within the DLC, and I've confirmed this from like 3 or 4 different videos I've watched on it, there are only 3 story missions in the entire DLC. It takes about an hour to complete, and there's
An
not
hour?
yes, and there's no new planet to explore. It's on Earth
For
and the Moon.
$20?
Yes. But you get new
I'm
multiplayer
offended.
maps. Also, it's not on a new planet, which I believe was one of the promises. They would keep explaining the solar system, but it's on the Moon and Earth.
I really have not heard anything when it comes to new Destiny coverage that actually encourages me to buy the game. In essence, I just feel more disgusted about it than anything.
You know what really upsets me is that listening to the Bombcast with Brad and how the way he talks about it in retrospect, he sounds like depressed about it.
Yeah, I
You know,
can't
he's
believe
like, I remember seeing the video. He's like, "Oh, I guess I'm gonna play this," and I was like, "You sound like you're really sad that you're playing this. Like you need to play this."
Well,
I mean, he
technically,
literally
it-
sounds
yeah,
like
yeah.
he has a
did,
drug
in fact,
problem.
need to play it at that time because it was his job.
Yeah, but it like I just get I've seen that from several Destiny players. So like, I guess I'll play it, so I'll get some new content to play, and it's like you sound like a fucking drug user, where you're like, "I need this." It's not I want this. It's I desire this. Like I have a need for it, and it's like that's a little disturbing.
I have habits.
It's just like I've seen so many people that are like, "This is the worst fucking game I've ever played," and I'm still playing it because I just can't stop playing it.
I have a lady friend of mine who she was really into it, and granted, I'd asked her about Borderlands once, and she was saying how she tried to play Borderlands 2, just wasn't digging it, and she has played Destiny, and you know she was getting into it. She liked, you know,
And she didn't like
replaying shit.
Borderlands?
Yeah, I don't know why, just whatever her tastes
Different
were.
games.
But yeah, they are. But she liked, you know, doing the raids and stuff with like friends and like people she was playing with cooperatively, and she even told me though she's like she knew the criticism that the game was getting at the time, because this was like a month after it came out. She knew the criticism the game was getting, and she was saying, she's like, look, if you don't have to play it, just there's not a lot of people liking it, and I get why, but I enjoy it. And I was like, that's fine. I'm not going to blame you for enjoying it. I think it was last month when I talked to her about it, she straight up told me, don't get this game, because she got to some point where she was just so disappointed. Like, even after they started patching like the loot and everything, she just said it was not worth it. Like, there's just you put in a lot of effort and you get very little rewards for it. It's fucking disgusting. Like,
such a bizarre fucking game.
I know, it's
And
just
from
massive.
even worse, that is from Bungie of all the developers in the world.
Yeah. I don't know.
These are the guys that basically codified the console FPS.
As for your friend, though, I think it kind of reminds me of an interesting point, which is I don't have a problem with people liking Destiny, because I will probably pick it up and I'll probably enjoy it, at least for the shooting. But there's a difference between liking something and saying this is okay to, like, this is okay to sell at this price, and I consider this to be a fair amount of content. Like, you could say Destiny's a great shooter and I like the mechanics, but you can also say, but this is not acceptable standards. For a video game.
There are still a number of things that rub me the wrong way about that game, like, you know, just how much of the story is fucking lacking and just how slapped together it all feels. And
you still have to go to the website to look at text files.
But the biggest thing to me, ignoring the story and all that bullshit, the fact that you do all these missions, you replay them over and over, and you get little to no reward for them, and it's like, it's like, then I have no effort to play that. I have no reason or incentive to play it.
It's kind of weird, because it's like, it just sounds like a bad MMO. Where, like, a good MMO is the one where you're on the treadmill, but you don't know it, and a bad one is where you're very aware that you're just grinding away for shit.
You know, I mean, even comparing Destiny to, like, Borderlands or, hell, Diablo, like, you know, any Diablo, like, you can replay those games a number of times, and it's still fun. Destiny does not, like, sound like something, like... Yeah. I'm not really being rewarded for replaying the game. I mean, hell, in Diablo 3 especially, they had to fix that shit. They knew they fucked up. And, you know, Loot 2.0.
Loot 2.0, yeah.
Yep.
Which once we played the end game, and I got that game after that happened. Because I played Diablo back when it first came out. I didn't play enough of it. Like, I got to, like, Act 2 and quit. And then I went and replayed it with Reaper of Souls after Loot 2.0. We played the end game, and there's loot just everywhere all of a sudden.
Yeah, we did.
Like, sometimes it's a bit much, but I guess I'd rather have too much than too little.
Yeah.
You always sell what you don't want.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Diablo's a fun game. I should play Diablo again. I shouldn't play
Diablo. Yeah, we should all play Diablo.
We should play Diablo. Oh, God. Just gonna start playing Diablo.
Yep. Man, if that ever gets free on PS Plus, holy shit.
Oh, people around the world stuck to that fucking game. Just get into it too hard.
You know, you hold the X button, stuff happens.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of thing. I remember talking about that on the podcast, where it's like, I just hold down the button and things just explode, and it's beautiful. Yep. It's just pure dopamine running straight through my brain. Anyway, we got any other news to bring up?
I think that's it for me, at least.
Alright. Should we get right on into it, then?
Sure.
Let us.
Alright. Do you mind if I start it up just to mix up the rotation a little
bit? Go ahead.
Do it.
Okay. I got a set of notes this time, so I know what happened.
Oh, shit.
I almost feel like I should read these notes verbatim and then explain them. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, first thing off. Early this week, I finished Far Cry 4 finally.
Awesome.
How is Pagan Min?
Have you guys heard all this stuff about the ending, like not explaining it, but just saying like the ending jerks around with the idea of the beginning, where Pagan basically just says sit down and just stay there? Like, have you heard about all that?
No.
Could I explain that?
Sure.
People have talked about it. Basically, at the beginning of the game, when you're sitting at a table with Pagan, you know, you're eating food with him or whatever, and he takes some guy away to start torturing him, and he says, alright, just sit here and don't go anywhere. And then, you know, you get up and you start playing the game, and you go through like a 20-hour campaign. And I'm going to explain this because reviews have talked about it. It's slightly spoilery, so,
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Do it.
So basically, you play through the entire game, and when you get to the very end, he basically just talks to you, and you can have the option to just, like, shoot him or just sit down. And it's like, if you sit down, he's like, you know, you could have just sat here, and we'd be right here, and we'd be talking about this right now. because apparently you'll get relatively the same ending if you play through the 20 hours or if you just sit down for 12 minutes at the beginning. That's one of the two secret endings. If you just stay there, he'll come back, and then he'll just take you to the spot that's the end of the game, and then do the final cutscene.
Wow.
Except the dialogue's slightly different, because he doesn't, like, you know, if you play the game, he reflects on the idea. He's like, did you have to kill so many people and do all of this? And if you don't, then he was like, wow, you were very good at just sitting there not doing anything. And apparently there's a second secret ending we don't know about, but it was just kind of like a funny moment. It's a little bit shallow, you know, in that the idea of, like, poking fun at the player for doing what they do, it's a bit Spec Ops-like. But it was kind of funny, and I did like the multiple choices and the multiple chances you got to get different endings. Like, there were multiple, probably 3 or 4 different times that you could do something that would lead to a specific ending. But instead I got the one that I did, where it's just like, alright, well, I'm gonna go now. And then just credits roll.
Jeez.
So, it was pretty fun. I enjoyed my time with it.
So, it's still, like, I still feel like, did this game feel like it was was it worth it, especially after Far Cry 3, or does it just feel like, you know, here's more of the same shit, but the same shit wasn't that bad, so...
I mean, that's kind of the way to explain it,
That's kind of Ubisoft's MO.
Well, like, that is the thing, is that I've definitely seen a lot of people that's like, why would I buy this if I bought Far Cry 3 and enjoyed it? And it's like, well, if you enjoyed that enough to play it again, then, yeah, it's basically just a nice excuse to play what is Far Cry 3 again.
In essence, that almost reminds me of, like, the PS2 Ratchet and Clank games, because, like, between Going Commando and Up Your Arsenal, which was the second and third games, they both felt the same, and there were, like, some people that criticized it to the point of making it seem like, oh, the third one's just an expansion, but it's still fun, though, and it was enough to keep me hooked, not just for one playthrough, but for a second one.
Yeah, I played all 3 of those games as well. And that's kind of the deal. Like, you know, it's like the same thing with Assassin's Creed and Brotherhood and Revelations. It's like, if you enjoy that core idea, then you'll enjoy this game. The characters are basically the same for the most part. But, I mean, I did like, the ending kind of brought everything together in a very nice way, and I enjoyed that. It's mostly just a matter of, like, you know, in terms of recommending or not, it just comes down to, would you be willing to pay for Far Cry 3 again, slightly tweaked? I'm sure for a lot of people, it's just going to be, I'll wait for it to go on sale, and then I'll buy it. It's like, that's a very good option. If you weren't, like, completely blown away by Far Cry 3 like I was. So in my case, it was worth it for me. Like, I really enjoyed my time. So, check that off. Second thing, since I finished it, I'll talk about it. Right before this podcast, I finished The Wolf Among Us. The whole set.
Yeah, and for the record, Sam played through it the smart way, which was you got the season pass and you played 1 episode per day.
Yeah.
And that will dramatically affect the way he thinks that game. I guarantee it.
I bet. I would love to talk to somebody who played it as it came out, because I'm sure I had a much more positive experience trying to remember things. You did that?
Yes.
Oh. I'm sure I had a great time. You had a terrible one.
I didn't have I would say a terrible time, but it definitely did negatively impact my experience.
Yeah. Because we mentioned it before the podcast, but I'm sure, like, there's a good bit of it. There's a good part of it that depends on your knowledge of the prior episodes, like way more so than The Walking Dead.
It's a murder mystery, so...
Yeah, so remembering the small details of who did what and who was where at any point in time is kind of important. And you had to wait 2 months between episodes, I believe it was? Or was it just
sometimes even longer than that.
Yeah, there was one that got delayed, I think. It was like 3 months
Yeah,
away.
the dev cycle for that game was very sporadic.
Yeah.
Oh. But I really, really enjoyed it. I don't think it was as strong as The Walking Dead Season 1, which I don't really think had anything to do with the subject matter. I just don't think the characters were quite as great, because they have to be based on real fables. Which that's
source material, you mean?
Yeah, true. They had to be based on a certain source material, so they had to have certain personalities attached to them. And had to act a certain way. Like the thing with Big Bad Wolf, you know, you play as Bigby, and the thing is, he's always naturally angry, so no matter how much
of an asshole.
Yeah, so no matter how nice you try to be, there's always certain scenes where he just acts like a total dick, because that's just who he is. And it was kind of weird when he had those moments, like, you know, people talking, he's like, you're still the Big Bad Wolf. It's like, I've been nothing but nice to you, but sometimes it just, the only options it gives you are just be a total dick in 3 different ways.
Or say nothing.
Yep, you can say nothing. I always want to do that with another playthrough. Just say nothing the whole
Grendel
time.
won't remember this.
Yeah, that was a funny moment. Is that they kind of play a joke about the X person will remember this. In that at one point you're talking to somebody who's really really drunk and taking lots of pain medication. So no matter what you say to him at the very end, it just says Gren won't remember this. And I'm like, that's pretty good nod.
Yeah, that's a pretty good like
Kind of like joke about the way their system works.
Yeah.
using the mechanics for humor.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
And speaking of the mechanics, the one thing, I guess the only problem I have with it, and it's possible that this has been remedied or changed up, is that I kind of wish they did more to play with the way the mechanics work. Like, there are very few times it seemed where the timer went by so fast that, like, you couldn't make a decision carefully. Like, I think there's, like, 1 or 2 cases where you had to make a very rash decision because of the way the timer was going.
Yeah.
I wish they did more of that. And I had this interesting idea that I don't think they ever did, where there's a lot of button mashing when you're doing the fight stuff, where it's like, mash this button to keep this person held down. And I was like, because of the way that the Big Bad Wolf works, where the angrier he gets, it just compiles into more anger. I kind of wish they had a scene where you had to
He's
button...
basically like the Hulk, where the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets.
Right. So I kind of wish they had a moment where you would have to actually, like, a button mash to stop from getting angry, to, like, button mash to restrain yourself. I thought would have been kind of cool. And, like, use QuickTime events against yourself. And I don't think they ever had a situation, I tried several times, where, well, they had 1 or 2 where if you didn't hit a button, it would cause something different to happen, unlike the, move the cursor over and hit RT stuff. But I kind of wish there were certain situations where if you just didn't hit something, it was like, I'm just not going to hit this guy ever. But that would generally mean a bad end for that scene. So that's the only thing, is just that's my larger complaint with the Telltale adventure game series, is I kind of want them to mess with their own
Yeah,
mechanics
but
a little bit more.
that kind of goes to Telltale games as a whole.
Yeah. I do hope in the future they mess with that more. But
We'll see in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it seemed really cool though. Otherwise, I really like the story setup. I like the characters a lot. I really like Bigby. Snow, I didn't care too much for, but
I like the murder mystery, even
Yeah.
though again, 2 months between each episodes, it could get pretty painful.
yeah, that would be rough.
Like it's like playing one mission in Persona, like rescuing one character, and then waiting 2 months to play the next
Yeah.
part of Persona. It hurts.
Or
Like
just like
me.
waiting between like reading chapters of a classic murder mystery book. Just
Yeah,
like, I'm just
yeah,
gonna
like-
read a chapter and then I'm just gonna throw
Like
the book
reading
away
a
for 2
fifth
months.
of like a Sherlock Holmes novel and then waiting 2 months to read the next fifth.
Oh god.
Yeah, I mean, there's a right way and a wrong way of doing that, and there are some people that like the episodic nature, though, especially when like people get to talking about it when you have a number of friends that are
Yeah.
playing it, and you kind of have that excitement building for the next episode.
Yeah, considering the whole game is based off choices, they at the very end of each episode they're like, "Hey, come talk about the community. What choices did you make?" And they have like the whole stats of, how many percentage of people chose this choice or that choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's cool. I guess my problems are more with the Telltale system at large. I also think they could do a lot more with. I felt like most of the game it just came down to be the good guy or the bad guy, and they really need some more stuff where like the best decision is the worst one.
They've been doing that increasingly more. I've noticed of late.
Yeah.
Like even with to avoid spores in general, Walking Dead season 2 felt like that as well.
Yeah, so I do hope to see a bit more.
Of course,
Of
I
that.
wonder if that's because they have so many people and they're working on so many projects at the same time, and that's just
Yeah,
bound to
Telltale
happen.
got big fast, man.
Mm-hmm. Like before The Walking Dead, there was question of like what that company's future was even going to be.
Yeah,
like-
it was a weird time. So I'll keep playing more, but like Tales from the Borderlands, I heard was pretty good, and I was like, well, I'll check that out in about 5 months then, when the whole thing's out.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do with that one too, because I
Oh.
can't do that again
Yeah, I haven't
It's
done
not-
that
it
before. and
didn't
I'm not
work for
planning
me.
to.
at all.
Yeah, I
It's-
waited the whole time for season 1 of Walking Dead, and that's what I'm gonna do for every future Telltale game.
Yeah, I did that for season 2 as well of The Walking Dead. I did this whole buy it and then just get it piecemeal thing, and it just doesn't work. It does. I don't feel like it makes my experience better.
I kind of did that with the first season, mostly because when I had gotten into it, 2 episodes were already out. So for me, it was waiting, like, I was able to play the first 2, and I didn't play them back to back, not because of like whatever cinematic or episodic effect. It was mostly because I was really bummed after that first one,
Yep.
and I was like, I'm gonna be depressed enough to kill myself if I play more than one of these in the same sitting. But you know, then I had to, after episode 2, I had to wait for 3, 4, and 5 to actually come along. So, and like I said, I mean, Walking Dead first season, I thought the episodic nature of it helped it. I really dug it. You know, like I said, I thought it was better to experience this episode by episode with the gap of time.
I will say
between
that the episodes give you a very nice, discrete stopping point, even when you're playing after it's all come out. Like, you can say, oh yeah, this episode's over, now I can take a break and then play more tomorrow.
And what's funny about this, like, I can kind of remember, like, older games that used to be structured in this way of, like, an episodic nature. It was just, like, they would never be released episodic. Like, there were things that were released on full retail discs, and, like, like an RPG that would have had, like, an episodic nature. Like,
Yeah,
I
it was
can't...
just very regimented acts or segments.
Yeah, yeah. And you kind of felt like, okay, I can take a break from this now, like, especially when it's like, you know, do you want to save now? And obviously you do.
Do you
Yeah.
want to save? Do you?
I'm trying, I can't
Well,
think
like
of
in the
anything
old
off
days
the
when
top
we
of
switch discs, that's usually a good place to stop and then and end for the night.
Yeah, but, like, I can't think of any, like, recent examples that did that. I know there are some games that exist like
I did
that.
something recently that divided itself into 5 acts. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, and it used to be the thing of, like, oh, this episode's over, so I know I get a save point here. Like, I
Yeah.
can't remember what it was, though.
Uh,
Shit. But you know what I mean, though.
yeah. So Telltale's doing good. It's just I feel like the system might wear itself down if they don't mix it up a little bit and play with the way the system works. So we'll see. Definitely hope for their continued success because I would like to see more Wolf Among Us or.
Oh, I would love to see a sequel to that Wolf Among Us. It was great.
Yeah, it looks really
And
good.
They had like choices that mattered up until the very last thing you could do. There was an option that just cut to black the last thing you do.
Yeah,
Moving on from that.
and in the end, all those choices did end up coming together.
Right.
I don't want to spoil it, obviously, because
Yeah, there were some choices I made that I had a funny moment where I actually made the ones that were not the majority's choices, and it kind of makes you question of whether what you're doing is right or not, which is interesting.
I always
idea.
like that. I like that they show you what the other players chose,
Yep.
so you can compare yourself to what they did,
I chose one that
Even if
only
you-
like 20% of players actually did.
even if you don't actually have any friends that play the game or play the game at that moment in time.
Yeah. All right.
I definitely loved after the cast comparisons with you in the private chat.
Yeah. So next up, I finished the quote-unquote prologue of Dragon Age Inquisition, which is to say, like, I got the new area for the settlement, which I always wondered that when I saw the reviews. I was like, why does this war table look different? It's like, oh, because a major event happens and they finally introduced the big bad guy and all that. So I'm trying to think of, like, more to say about that other than characters are good. I'm really starting to think that the combat is, like, with each succeeding game, I feel like my abilities just don't matter most of the time.
I think that was another news thing. Like, how are you playing the game combat-wise?
How do you mean? Like, I'm playing with
Like on the PC, they actually have, like, I think there is a choice between, like, behind the back, or you have a tactical view, which is like old school PC RPGs.
I mean, it's a tactical view, but it's not as good as the one in Origins because it only kind of zooms out.
Yeah, because that was a news story I heard where BioWare wanted to patch that because people were having all kinds of issues with it.
Yeah, it's not terribly great. I'm having a lot of, like, random stuff where, like, my rogues and people with ranged stuff just constantly run next to me, and it's like, dude, I have the sword. I'll get up next to them. You stand back. Like, they don't seem to understand, like, a minimum range they should be away from enemies. But the one thing that BioWare does well is really shining through, which is dialogue and characters. Which,
And dry humping.
yep, constantly. But it's just really cool.
And
Like, just
two-time Liliana.
every time I get a chance to talk, I'm always just super excited to check out all the investigate options, and I really like that they don't have the standard good bad anymore. It's a lot more like the first game.
Yeah, it's not. There are no clear cut which is the bad option, which is the evil one. It's basically do I want to be pissed at this guy? Maybe do
Yeah.
I want to be nice to him, or
Choosing
maybe
more
I'm
of, like,
Moral
an attitude.
ambiguity in RPG?
Who would have guessed?
Could it be?
So, I'm really having a hard time recounting what had happened, but the big thing that I wanted to mention is that after you get past the prologue, Varric's like, oh yeah, so I got a friend of mine back from Kirkwall, and I was like, oh, you don't say. He's like, yeah, named Hawk, you probably heard of her. And I was like, yes!
Yeah.
Probably.
I did have an interesting moment where as soon as I got there, it's funny that it just like shows your character's back, and then it just says, alright, do you want the default Hawk or do you want the custom Hawk? Like, it's just like this weird game moment where instead of showing it what they look like, it's like, alright, look,
Because
how
what
do you want
could
them to
they
look
do?
first? Yeah. Without just like outright just saying, oh, you're gonna meet Hawk in this
It's
game.
like those old games where it's like, hey, I remember you. Do you remember your name?
Yes, do you remember what you
What
look
is your
like?
name?
What do you
I
look like?
Like, I remember back when the second Knights of the Old Republic game came out, if anybody knows what I'm talking about, like, because the first Knights of the Old Republic, I mean, it was a BioWare RPG.
Yep.
And then the second one came along, that was Obsidian,
Yes.
Yes.
but it basically had the same groundwork. And they just, you know, kind of danced around who Revan was. Revan being, like, that was the big twist about the first Knights of the Old Republic. Revan was this character that turned out to be the player character from the first game. And it's like anytime you ask about them, everybody just is all cryptic about it. And I remember one conversation you have with an NPC, it's like, you said Revan was a woman. And it's like, maybe she was. Maybe I wanted her to be a woman. Or maybe it was a man. I don't know. Like, everybody's just kind of like, yeah.
Just that ambiguous. Just like, I don't know what the player did. I don't know.
Because, I mean, obviously, it didn't have any of, like, the whole import save file bullshit that, like,
Yeah, it was before
games
that
have.
time.
Yeah,
They had to be ambiguous, so they could be anything.
they really, especially.
BioWare, they can import your save and say, oh yeah, I know what your Hawk was, so I can make this
Yeah.
comment.
I mean, especially because of the fact, like I mentioned, this was between the first game and its sequel. There was different development studios working on it. So
Yeah. The only two bummers about that is that one, you can't import the look because, you know, you don't import the save file and there's not the same hairstyles from 2 or anything like that. Although they did keep the blood mark, which is something that's only in 2, like the blood smear across the nose.
Yeah.
The default character. And 2 was that the version, the original Hawk that I played and beat the game with, who was like Super Paragon character, was my male version of Hawk, and that save file is super lost. So the Hawk that I imported was the one that I had recently played. Although because I just chose the choices, I chose the ones that my male Hawk chose.
right.
So it's pretty interesting just to meet Hawk, and then, you know, it kind of does that, you know, again, fun if shallow thing where it's just like, I'm just going to spout dialogue. It's based on those choices you made in the keep. So you can just be like, so what happened? And it's like, well, you know, because you selected that Meryl was alive, Meryl went on to do this. And because you selected that this person was alive, they wanted to do this. Like, it's kind of just that weird thing you get with, you know, like Walking Dead and stuff like does that too, where it's like, because of X choice you made, I'm going to read this script instead of this script.
Yeah, it's like for people like us who play a lot of video games, it's easy for us to see like the behind the.
Yeah.
We're
it's
kind of
easy
looking
to
behind the
tie
curtain,
the
like
you,
how
you
shit.
see subconsciously the flag going from false to true.
You
Yeah,
can just see
exactly.
them like
To
move
where-
like 2 lines of code down and be like, all right, they're gonna say this line of dialogue instead of this line of dialogue.
Yeah, but to like, you know, normal. I mean, other people, you know, they might be kind of fascinated by that, but like
I mean,
the
that's still,
idea of
that's
game.
still to a degree of, whoa, that's really cool. Because it is.
Yeah, because it's this whole idea that video game developers want to have something to where your choices carry across something, and it's just the hard part of figuring out. It's like, well, how can you do that on a technical level?
Yeah.
And
And they pulled it
Yeah.
off pretty well. Like, it doesn't have a weird thing where, like, she, you know, stops animating for a second and then loads up something or anything like that. Which is kind of the joke I always think
I mean,
of.
all they need to do is, again, just change a couple of booleans, and that's not hard. That takes
Yeah.
seconds.
So it was kind of neat just to, you know, ask, like, what happened. I can't even remember, like, you do finally get an explanation of, like, what Hawk did afterwards, and I totally forgot what she said. At the end of 2. And then you get to us, like, so what happened to Bethany? And it's like, oh, she's part of the Grey Wardens. So, like, oh, maybe I'll get to see Bethany later. And it's like, what happened to Anders? It's like, and then her explanation was basically like, Anders was fucking insane, okay? And I was like, replace that with Anders fucking sucks, and then we'll move on. Anders fucking sucks.
He was great in Awakening.
Yeah, and he sucks in 2.
Yeah.
He's
Justice
just such
fucked
a
him up.
whiny asshole. He's just like, oh, look, the Templars. And I'm like, whoa.
Shut up, Anders.
Like, he's the one that basically caused shit to happen.
Yeah.
So he's kind of the biggest asshole in the world for starting a war.
Yep.
So I think that's about all I could say on that. But Dragon Age has been really cool thus far. Combat's been kind of whatever, but just like every character interaction, I just immediately relish. Like, I'm super stoked whenever I get to talk to somebody in that game.
Nice.
I did have
Because
another
that's
funny
where
moment.
Bioware excels.
I did have another funny moment where like you get to your almost like the Mass Effect style thing when you get the Normandy, where you have like this grand speech in front of everybody. Which I just realized that's a very Bioware trait, isn't it? Because every Mass Effect game does that too.
Yep.
But you had like this moment where you're standing up top, and of course I had to select the option that was the Elven version, which is like you really expect people to believe they're going to be led by an elf, and it's like, well, they'll believe who fights well. And then of course, you know, when I got to my big like battle cry thing, it was like, believe in the Dalish, and I was like, yeah, buddy, and I changed all the flags to Dalish, and I'm like, you're going to be super pissed. Be led by an elf, and everybody's going to hate me. So, been enjoying that. Okay, so some quick things that I touched on. I bought a couple games this week that I have mostly just touched. One of them was Child of Light, which you probably remember, like the UbiArt game. Short
I played the
RPG.
demo for that. I thought it was kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie.
Yep. So I wrote in my notes, Child of Light, parentheses, fuck that rhyme scheme.
I thought the same thing. Like the couplets were not that.
Yes. Not only is it like poorly done, but it gets super annoying for longer than the average nursery rhyme. Like because it's more than 10 lines, it gets annoying real fast. And it's very, very poorly done.
Like, you kind of feel like the developers or writers, whoever, kind of have themselves in a hole because of, like, whatever gimmick they wanted to use. That's what they decided to go with.
Yep. I just feel bad because like you're sitting there and it's like half the time they just don't rhyme. Like they just don't
Yep.
bother. They just speak. And I'm like, why not just do that the whole time? Because it's fucking awful when they do. Like they just have to make shit up and like break all the fucking rules of grammar to make shit work.
Pretty
Like
much.
this was not designed for a 10-hour game. This is designed for like 10 lines.
This is designed for like 10 lines of
Some
prose.
nursery rhyme.
Is it wrong that I'm somewhat reminded of Toe Jam and Earl, and like how in like these 16-bit Genesis games, them rapping was actually pretty cool, despite the fact that it was just all in text, and you had to just go with whatever music was in the background. Then they made this god-awful Toe Jam and Earl 3 for the original Xbox, and it was fucking horrible when they had it was like, we can actually hear them rapping now, but the rapping sucks.
I didn't
Yeah.
want them to.
I think it's because in your head you can actually do it a certain way that makes more sense.
Probably.
I also wrote combat is boring, question mark. It was for what I played, like it just did not seem that interesting.
For the demo, I felt the same way. Like it didn't hook me like the
Yeah.
way I was hoping it would.
And I wrote looks nice, period. Looks nice.
Yeah.
Period.
So, like I watched a review afterwards where I thought it was like 20 hours, turns out it's like 7 or 8, and it's like if it's that short, I might give it a shot and just try to push through it over a weekend, but it's like oh my god, that rhyme scheme just fucking gives me a headache the way they try so hard and it fails so badly.
Oh man.
So we'll see about that. Next up, Lichdom Battle Mage, which is that first-person, be the badass mage game that
I've
came
heard
out
of
recently.
that.
I wrote 30 FPS VSync lock was one of the options, because Brandon talked about that, where he posted an article about the case for 30 FPS.
Yeah.
It's actually a good thing because they have a 60 and 30 FPS lock for VSync, which I thought was a really neat feature. So, because the thing in the article is like, what if your system can't run it? And it's like, and you still want VSync, and it's because then it'll try to only go up to 60. It's like, what if it only runs at 35 frames a second? It's like, well, it's cool you have the option.
Yeah.
I don't see why any game couldn't have the option for 30 and 60 lock. I also wrote boring combat. I've heard it gets much better, but for right now it's like, shoot an ice beam, shoot fireball, shoot an ice beam, shoot fireball. And then you get a bit more story, which is probably just, story's fucking horrendous from what I've seen. And I also wrote,
Ouch.
gave me a headache. I don't know why. I think it's because I had a headache when I was playing
Draw distance, maybe?
it. I don't know. Like, I don't think it was an FOV thing, because I turned that up. I touched Vanishing of Ethan Carter because I noticed a few people get put on their Game of the Year list. And Race Youth Carter looks really nice, and conceptually there's probably something there, but all I wrote
What?
was got completely fucking lost. So, like, I know the first thing that happens is that, like, you come across a train track where somebody has their legs severed off and then discover the body down later on. It's like, alright, how does this happen? But in order to unfold the past with your magic mind powers, you have to find all the evidence. And I searched for like 30 minutes, and I could not for the life of me find what the fuck I was supposed to be looking for.
Jesus.
And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. And I just quit. I was like, I get
It ain't no. It ain't no murdered soul suspect.
Yeah, it's just like I could not be fucking bothered to do that. I was like, I'm sure this game is great, but just any time that a game, like, it even says in the beginning, this game will not hold your hand, and they hold up to that, because it will not give you anything to help you out. Which made me kind of realize that either I'm just used to that, or I'm pretty sure I prefer the idea of, like, give me something, man.
I
'Cause I'm
like
not
the
into
idea
those
of being
old-
able to like have a hint thing there, so if I really need it, I'm able to use it, but I don't have to use it if I don't
Yeah,
want to.
I just, like, it seems to be this weird reactionary pushback where people are like, oh, games hold your hand too much, and it's like, but I don't mind that, really. So maybe for people who, like, played old adventure games, like, oh, this is great, it won't do anything for me, and I see that, and I'm like,
People
that
who
just
can
sounds like a
comprehend
headache.
mist.
Yeah, to me that was like, that just sounds like a total headache, the idea of, like, it won't give me anything, and I could sit here for 3 hours, and it will never, ever try to help me out. Like, it's just, yeah, that really bothered me, so I'll go
We
back
do
to that
have
some more.
FAQs now for that purpose.
Yeah, that's why they were made. Earlier today, I loaded up Need for Speed Rivals because I wanted to try that. It was super cheap for not BioWare's Origins sale that was going on. I picked up that and the Mass Effect trilogy, but I haven't.
Is Rivals the most recent one?
Yes, Hot Pursuit was the one before that.
Oh, okay.
So I tried this. The two things I wrote was 30 FPS lock. That's VSync on or off. It just locks at 30. I remember seeing some videos on the internet where if you unlock the frame rate, it literally doubles the game speed. Like, it's a problem.
I think it was a Total Biscuit video I saw once where I think it was a Need for Speed game, like, that it just looked fucking
Yeah.
horrible because the options were shit.
Yeah, that's Rivals. Although it looks better, so I'm not sure if they patched any of that stuff.
I would hope
Like,
they would.
It looks fine to me, but the big problem was that if you unlock the frame rate, the animations are tied to that, so it just literally doubles the game speed. Which is not okay, because like a racing game, you become accustomed to the idea of 60 FPS. We
Yeah.
have been since like the PS3
Oh.
days. So I'm gonna keep playing that because I really enjoy that, but it's a problem. And I also wrote multiplayer was fun conceptually, but I was constantly harassed by the cops, whether AI or players. I couldn't tell. But like every time I just tried to go to a race, it was just like somebody's just smashing into me because like, you know, if a racer smashed into you, they can just start a head to head. And like if you so much as go near a cop and you're doing a race, then they can immediately get on your ass and just wreck you.
I have to look this up because I think that was Criterion that worked on that.
Yeah, Criterion's been doing it since before Hot Pursuit.
Yeah.
One right before that, Undercover, maybe? Was the first one?
Oh man, that just reminded me of something that was just disgusting. Like, I think it was an E3, and one of the guys from Criterion, like, he was on stage, and God, he was just so full of shit. Like, he goes up there, and he's like, you know, other studios have done Need for Speed, but we've made it the best. Like, fuck you, man. Like, just shits on anybody else that like nobody else besides Criterion never made a good Need for Speed game. I'm like, fuck you, man. Underground was good. So was Most Wanted. Like, you wish you made
So was
Most
Hot
Wanted,
Pursuit for
dumbass.
PS2.
Yeah,
Pursuit too.
yeah. Fucking.
And that's the kind of thing is the Criterion Need for Speeds. They're not the worst by far, because there's some really bad Need for Speed games, but they're just average.
Well, yeah. It's like they're not the best either. You know.
Yeah.
But
It's like-
you know what you're getting.
Yeah, it's just I do have to wonder because they didn't
It's
put
like
this
just
one
go
out.
back. It's like go back to make it Burnout, dumbass. Just
Because yeah, Rivals is a year old because those came out for the launch of the new consoles, I think.
yeah, and I also specifically remember there was this whole thing like EA said like we're gonna go a year without putting out a Need for Speed
Yeah.
games.
Because that was the thing I was gonna say is that it looks like they're taking a year off, which is good because they tried to annualize it, and then this one came out a lot like Hot Pursuit, which I played some, you know, back when it came out. It's basically open world Hot Pursuit.
Yeah.
So, not necessarily bad, but racing games don't take very well to annualizing. They just don't work that well with that.
Nope.
So, the last thing I had was something that I was just gonna, what's what I'm looking for? Like,
Rant's
give a
over?
shout out too. So my part's over. Because I'll do that later. I'll fucking shout out the thing I wrote earlier this week.
All right.
So I think we should just go ahead and get Brandon out, just in case he takes like 3 hours.
Alright.
Because he's been playing fucking Atlas games.
Just
I
tell me about Persona Q.
I did play a bit more Persona Q,
Uh-huh.
and I am enjoying it, and I am quickly realizing that naming my character lead protag was the best thing I've ever done.
Oh, shit.
Do tell.
Because when all the group members meet up after the first dungeon, Mitsuru says, and I quote, "Protag, I think you should lead our group."
Fucking incredible story.
And I'm like, oh my god, she knows.
my destiny has been fulfilled. I'm doing what I want in life now.
I love them calling me lead and protag in the things. Like it's just a little bit of humor.
Do they have any honorifics? Do they say things like lead kun or something like that?
Yes, in lead senpai.
Oh yes, lead senpai. Lead senpai is my favorite character.
Although someone told me it was funny because one person named their main character Laura Bailey,
Gotcha.
which is hilarious in and of itself. And one thing I also noticed is that I don't know if you guys know Persona 4, right? I don't need to worry about. And you all know about Teddy.
Put the guns to their heads, right?
You all know about Teddy and what they are and what he is, right? Well, even in Vanilla Persona 4, Teddy wasn't really that well liked. Honestly, he was kind of just tolerated by a lot of the people who played it.
Good.
But the writers of Persona Q seem to really, really hate Teddy.
Good.
Wow.
Fucking fuck Teddy.
Like he is the butt of almost every joke. In
Does
the
he score
entire
a hot stud?
No.
Well then, what a bummer for Teddy.
And all the girls are like this close to killing him.
It'd be great if it was an option to just like let Teddy die. Just let him go down once and for all.
And
Like, oh, man.
it's funny, but I'm also starting to feel really bad for Teddy. And I didn't want to feel bad for Teddy.
You shouldn't feel bad for Teddy ever.
He's not in my party for a reason. Because I have Naoto in my party.
And Naoto is like Teddy, but a million times better.
Everybody got somebody at the
She's
job.
like Teddy, but nothing at all like Teddy.
That's why she's so great.
Everybody got somebody at their job that they're this close to you whooping their ass, ain't they?
I don't know if I explained it last week, but in Persona Q, all the characters can equip personas. They have their main persona, which is the one that they're known for. Like for Naoto, it's Takuni Ikuna. For main character, it's Izanagi. And they have their sub persona they can equip, which gives them bonus health and SP at the start of a battle. And if they use that they use that first before they go into their actual HP and SP counter. This makes Naoto very, very powerful. Because she has those instant death spells that end up usually costing a lot of SP to spam on all the random encounters. But since you have bonus SP from your persona that you have equipped, you can basically use them at least once per battle with impunity. Because you use up the bonus SP you get, not your actual SP, so you can just keep using it over and over again. And that makes a lot of the random encounters really, really easy, especially when they're weak to light or darkness.
So remember, kids, keep Naoto in your party
at all times. That's like a fact of life, man.
And even better is that if you ever get like a critical with her and a boss, she's still useful because she can use like a Megadola on or a Megadola for like 0 SP because she's boosted.
She can use a Megalodon?
Yes.
Giant sharks?
Exactly.
Good.
I have no idea.
Fucking sharks, man.
I beat Shadows of Murder.
Did you murder everybody?
I murdered everybody.
Yep, that's the ending. Just there's no like, oh, I can't believe I actually murdered everybody. It's like, nope.
It's time for a new ring.
Did they really say that?
Yes, that is the last line in the entire game.
Game fucking sucks. It thinks it's better than Lord of the Rings. Like that's
one of the things I want to talk about, especially with Shadows of Mordor, is this. And I tweeted an article about this week. about how annoying it is that they have to tutorialize elements of the game that you've likely already discovered on your own in the last half of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like late game tutorials in general.
Like,
What the fuck are you thinking?
There's this section in the end game where you're learning how to kill a grog. Grog, is that the name of that creature?
Oh, the big things?
Yeah.
I think so.
And you spend this entire time first learning how to tame a Carador,
Karagor.
whatever. I'll go with that.
Sure.
And the thing with that element that pissed me off is that I had already learned an ability, like in the first half of the game, to just jump on them and tame them myself without having to do all this counter bullshit.
Oh.
So I'm sitting here thinking, I will literally never, ever use this. But they're teaching me it in the last half of the game anyway.
And then they force you to do it.
Yes.
Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do the same thing with the Grog monsters.
And it's for the story, Chris. The beautiful story.
And the worst part is that you never use that in the story any point past that. So it's literally
It's
pointless.
for that one character side story.
And even during that side story, you don't use it after you get taught that skill. You never use it ever
you have a
again.
quick time event instead.
Yeah.
And this is a
And
sound
people
even
warning.
then,
Taking this
in
off
the
of my
general
Steam wish list.
gameplay,
This
and in
is
the
people
general
saying this
gameplay-
game should be game of the year. Think about that.
and in the general gameplay, you'll never use that mechanic because right after you learn those skills from beating that mission, you can unlock a skill that just lets you tame any creature instantly with a Shadow Strike.
And this is now no longer on my Steam wish list because I don't want anybody making the mistake of buying this for me.
Well, no, because and even worse, the best element, the very best mechanic in the game, which is branding your enemies and making them follow your will. You learn that 2 missions before the final mission of the game.
Mm-hmm.
There's 20 main missions. You learn that on mission 18 is how to brand your enemies.
See, it's funny is that people like to talk about how branding was such a crazy, cool, big thing, but
It is.
I guess, but it also feels kind of shallow, and it's when you get the branding, what is the purpose of never not branding somebody? What reason do you have to not brand somebody after you have that option available to you?
You really don't.
Exactly!
Yeah,
It breaks the Nemesis system over its back, because it basically just says, that's it! That's all you're ever gonna do now, is brand every orc you come across.
Although
Wow.
there are oftentimes a matter of if you can or not.
Yeah, but it's just...
There's a lot of the tough a lot of the big orcs in the game are really hard to get scared so that you can actually end up doing that.
I don't know, just... That game, I'm not saying it's bad or anything, it's just disappointing as
On a
all hell.
mechanical level, it's a fantastic game. On purely a mechanical level,
Would either of you still spend $50 on it?
no.
I did, and I would not recommend
Then
it.
then
I would
then it's-
spend about 30.
Yep. I'll wait for a
25,
sale.
30. Yeah.
I'll wait for a sale and I'll play it. So, Brandon, after you finished it, did you reach the same conclusion Sam did, where you finished the game, now you no longer give a shit to ever touch it again?
I played a little bit of it just to explore the NEM system with branding, just so I could study it a little bit on a technical level, and I thought that was really interesting. Because in the game there are a lot of side missions with the NEM system involved where if you don't beat this side mission a certain amount of time, the orc in question will grow stronger. So you'll want to stop them from growing in power by taking these missions and dealing with them in some way. And so when you have a branded orc, you still get those missions, but instead of trying to stop them, you want to make them succeed, because if they succeed, they will gain power, and they'll be able to take on some other orcs for you. So it does add a nice little twist on the mechanics you've already learned by switching it like much like Assassin's Creed Rogue does, by switching the perspective in which you're doing it in. Rather than being someone who's trying to stop this orc from gaining power, you want them to gain as much power as they possibly can. And I thought that was interesting from a mechanical level, much like it was in Rogue when we talked about that a couple of weeks back.
That game's disappointing as all hell.
Yeah,
And it
I
disappoints me
don't-
more that for people that's going to be their game of the year. And
You see, I don't give a shit about Lord of the Rings.
neither
I
do
never really have. So for me, the story was just mediocre. It wasn't great. I'm not gonna remember it at all.
I would go as far
But
as to say it's actually
it was-
bad. Like
It was
actually
enough to get me through the game. Although the story feels very much like a tutorial for the actual, like, the good part of the game, which is the mechanical aspect of it. Like, it feels like that whole story was designed, like, once you beat the story, you're supposed to play it more with the Nemesis system, and that's what the actual part of the game that you're supposed to really care about is.
Kind of makes you
almost-
wonder, like, the original thing was supposed to be a Batman game, right?
Yes.
So it kind of makes you wonder if they were like, well, we had this whole Batman story and character set up, and we'll make these mechanics really good, and all of a sudden
It
they're like,
is
fuck, now
literally-
we gotta make a story.
It's literally a Batman game repurposed to work in Lord of
Yeah.
the Rings.
But it feels like if it was a Batman game and they had all the story in that setup, it would have been great. Because the
I
mechanics
wonder
are
how
solid.
branding would have worked in Batman.
That would have been interesting. If you could, like, coerce people to fight by you.
Yeah, like through interrogating them. Yeah, that would be pretty interesting.
Hmm.
I don't know.
They should try that one time.
Just try more.
Try to turn like gangs from like the supervillains against them and see how that works. That'd be pretty interesting.
It's very cool mechanically, it's just everything else. So,
Like if it was in a different world with a different story, it would be almost perfect.
yep. I think that's the thing, is like, I sound so upset by it just because it could have been so much
Because
more.
again, mechanically, it's a really good game. Like if you just look at it from a purely mechanical level, there's a lot to love there. But when you add that story to it, it just takes the whole package down.
It's the characters, the story, I didn't think the environments were that great.
I didn't think Talion was very interesting. I didn't think that the Wraith was very interesting.
Yeah, supposedly
Can
he
we
had, like,
spoil who
some
that
real
is?
significance to the story.
Does it matter if I spoil who
I'm
that
pretty
is?
sure I did when I first talked about the game.
Because the Wraith in question is the maker of the Rings of Power in the Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
world, Cara Brimvor.
They actually they revealed it in a press conference at one point because it was like a big reveal for them.
That's stupid.
Yeah, no, he fucking sucks.
I'm just
Because
sitting here
literally
shaking
the
my
whole
head
thing
whole
about
time.
it is that he has the same backstory as Talion. He's like, my family was murdered, and therefore I seek revenge. I was like, my family was
Really?
murdered, and it's like, wow, we should be best friends of
And
family
even the
murder.
best part is that he lies to Talion for like no reason whatsoever.
Yep.
He's like, well, yeah, I could have released you anytime I wanted. You didn't have to live if you didn't want to. But you were going to anyway, so I'm not sure why I lied
he
about
was
it.
so pissed off, he was gonna kill everybody anyway.
Yeah.
Like I said, the
Not
more
sure I
you think
lied
about it,
about
the
it
more it just
because you
breaks
would have
over
done what I
its
wanted
back.
you to anyway, even if I had told you the complete and honest truth.
God, that fucking game.
And even worse, like the final like bosses are the easiest fucking things I've ever played in my
Yeah,
life.
that final boss fight was super underwhelming.
Yes,
It was like a hide and seek game, basically. It was literally just Shadow Striker.
Oh,
And that's not
no.
even against the big bad. That's against his second in command.
Oh, right, was the big
Yeah,
bad the QuickTime guy?
Yes, the big bad.
QuickTime final
ended
boss
up-
fight, Chris.
Hearing you talk about the final boss battle almost makes me think of the fucking final enemy encounter in that new Thief game.
Mm,
Oh my god!
Am I wrong for thinking that?
not really.
I hated that new Thief game so much.
But yeah, like, that's the thing, is that was the the final boss is literally a QuickTime event, which is the thing people joke about. Like, oh, the final boss is just a QuickTime. It's like, no, it actually is.
It literally just you
It
press
literally
X
is
and
a
then
quick time
square to not die.
Which is just flies in
Wow.
the face of what video games are supposed to be.
It's like Bionic Commando all over again.
It's offensive.
It is offensive. That's why I don't get it. Where people are like, this is the
God.
fucking game of the year, and it's like, what did you play this
Jesus.
year that this is the
Well,
best game you
the thing
played?
that when they say it's game of the year, again, they're talking almost purely from a mechanical level. These are people who give no
Yeah.
shits about story.
Yeah, either that or they're just completely blind to it. Like, it just doesn't matter to them. Which,
You
like,
know,
yeah,
like
I talked about
Destiny.
it last
No one
week.
gave a shit about the story. That's why it's not even in there. They played it because of the shit mechanics that were in that.
Yeah. And that's the thing I mentioned like on last week's cast, which like for some people this will be their game of the year mechanically alone, but it's like I can't do that.
Even
I
with
can't
Destiny,
divorce, like
the
mechanics
actual,
from everything
like,
else.
Even in Destiny, the actual raw mechanics are fairly solid. There's literally nothing to do with them.
Just fuck.
Like in Shadows of Mordor, there's a solid mechanical ground, and there's a lot to do with those mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
You can do a lot in that game.
it's the I guess the thing is
Like
the
there's
whole
still a
game-
part of me that does want to go back and just like play it with the story completely a moot point now.
Yeah, like,
This is where the
it's almost
actual-
worth it for the combat alone. Like, it's even more satisfying than the Batman combat.
Yeah, although now that I've gotten a lot of like most of the upgrades, I do feel very, very overpowered. I talked last week about how I didn't feel very powerful at first. Now that I've gotten all the upgrades, Tanya is a fucking killing machine.
Yeah. I will be curious if you have the same thing as me, which is I went back to it multiple times trying to do side missions and stuff, and I just found it incredibly
I almost like I went through like I saw these group of like 30 orcs, and I just had like no fear going against all of them.
Yeah,
Like
it's a
when you
game
get
about making it
when you get the
badass.
late game upgrades, like the one that lets you keep your kill streak after exactly one hit.
Yeah.
That is game breaking in and of itself,
Yep.
honestly, because it gives you like no fear. You have no reason to be afraid of whatever is going up against you because you can take one hit and you can still go into a crazy kill chain. Because once you get like the ground pound finishing move, you just like do that and then hit 2 times and then do that again because then it'll be your 5 hit chain. You just keep doing that almost forever until they're all dead.
You following this, Chris?
I
You following this Game of the Year material right here?
sure.
Like,
I feel like I
I'm-
sound so fucking jaded because I probably do, but it's just...
this is like the reverse of Unity Conversation where I'm the critic and like I'm usually the
Yeah,
critic.
usually
he's
I'm
the
like, oh, this
optimist.
game's fucking awesome!
I'm
It's
the
like, no,
optimist
fuck
here
this
and you're the
game.
critic.
I'm seriously just like, fuck this game. Like,
Yeah.
the thing is, I just want a game with those mechanics put into a good story with good characters and environments and setup.
So do I. I think that would be like really awesome.
It's a really cool shell of a game. But
yes,
that's the thing,
like
it's just a shell.
you could literally like there are a lot of things you could do with these mechanics, like a lot of different environments you could put them in.
Yep.
And I'd be interested to see how that would work. But I think we've talked enough about Shadows of Murder. I don't
Yeah.
know about you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's,
The only
Just
other
crush
big thing
Chris's
that
dreams.
I've done over this week, and it's not gaming related whatsoever, is that I have finally, at long last, watched all 9 seasons of the X-Files.
God help you, why?
I actually really like the show, and I know why people like it now that I've seen it, and I'm kind of disappointed that Garrett's not here because he likes that show as well, and I'd like to talk to him a bit more about it. But like the first 7 seasons were really good, and past that they get kind of
because wasn't there a point where David Duchovny wasn't even around? Like,
yes, like at the end of season 7, Mulder gets abducted by aliens.
Naturally.
of course.
That's what he always
And
wanted.
so what they do is that they switch Scully's role. She was once the skeptic, now she's the believer because she spent 7 seasons seeing all sorts of strange shit, and she
Only
can
took her
no
that
longer-
many, huh?
and she can no longer
Only a couple
deny,
hundred incidents to be like, okay,
and she can no
maybe.
longer pretend that she doesn't believe anymore. She now is like, okay, perhaps there is some weird shit in this world.
Oh, perhaps. Really?
Maybe, just possibly, maybe. Okay, like aliens surrounding me right now. Maybe they're real.
And they bring someone new to the team named John Doggett.
Is he the skeptic
Yeah.
now?
He's the new skeptic.
Great,
Yep.
because you gotta have a skeptic.
Yeah, he's very, very hardcore in that he doesn't believe this shit. In fact, there's one episode in season 9 where the trick is that the whole, like, everything that's happening that's supernatural is just in everyone's imagination. And the only reason he can see through it is because he doesn't believe in any of this shit.
Wow.
And that's how they save the day is from his lack of imagination and belief.
He's like the reverse Parappa the Rappa. Can't believe.
Yes. And even in season 8, what they do is that Scully had a baby. It's Mulder's baby.
Mm.
What?
Except
That's
he's
the baby
also a
blues.
half human, half alien hybrid.
Oh my
Does
god.
it imply that Mulder is a half human, half baby hybrid?
Well, no, because the government conspiracy kidnapped Scully and experimented on her, and now her eggs produce half human, half alien hybrids.
That series got weird, didn't it?
Yes.
I
Like,
watched,
I'm
the
so
first
glad
3
I stopped
episodes.
watching it.
I watched like the first 3 episodes, and I was like, I could see how people could like this show. And I just
Well, like
went
I
on.
said, up to season 7, it's pretty good. Like season 8 is okay. It's not bad. It's not really that great.
To be fair, that's a
season
pretty good run for a
9
TV show. 7
Season
seasons
9 felt very, very tired.
felt like just, oh god, just let it end.
And even the final episode, like it's a 2-hour episode, And what they do is that they bring Mulder back for the final
For
episode.
one
And
final job before you can go into retirement.
pretty much, yes, actually.
Exactly.
Like, he gets caught trying to discover secrets in the military base.
Mm-hmm.
And he kills someone, except the twist that he's a super soldier and therefore cannot be killed.
Because now this is Marvel Comics.
Well, no, the super soldiers are unique aliens that are very human-like, but they cannot be killed. They can't. You can shoot them as many times as you want, and they can't be killed. They can only be defeated by using the metal within them to cause a magnetic field to tear them apart. Yes, this show got really.
It's just a show about aliens, right? Some
Like,
fucking
I
UFOs
watched
and
Doctor
shit.
Who, and this sounds like shit.
So the final episode is basically them recapping all of the conspiracy up to this point.
And by
And
the way,
twist.
I'm sorry, but just to provide some context for our listeners that are trying to say that I'm shitting on Doctor Who, no, I love Doctor Who, and I'm saying this as I can wrap my head around some weird shit, which
Like
Doctor
video
Who
games.
pushes out on a regular basis. But what Brandon's telling me right now, this is like, I'm just hearing garbage come out of his mouth from all this crazy stuff that
hot
he
garbage.
describes.
So
Like,
yeah, the thing is that Mulder's on trial for murdering a military officer while breaking into a military facility, and his defense is telling the judge about the entire conspiracy
So does it have
from
like a good,
from season 1 all the way to now,
so does it
what
have
he's
like a,
discovered.
does it have like a good wrap up with that? Where it's like, oh,
Well,
we tied everything
no,
back
he
together.
gets sentenced to death
Oh. Well, that's
because
not...
the judge obviously doesn't believe this
So
stuff.
Does he die? Is that just the end?
Well, no, but he gets broken out of jail.
For the movie?
Yes.
Good.
And the twist is that in 2012, the aliens will land on Earth and begin their invasion.
Oh, you guys remember the alien invasion that happened 2 years ago? It's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
wasn't
because that's when the Mayan calendar ends, and that's why it ends, is because the Mayans knew that the aliens would land
it? Yep,
at that.
not
Because
because
Exactly.
they got attacked by the Spanish or anything weird like that.
and then Optimus Prime fought Megatron, and like Shia LaBeouf stuck a tube in
Fucking
him.
Shia LaBeouf's like, dude, 2012! You're like, yeah, no!
Yeah. And then John Cusack had to get get his kids out, and the
Fucking
And-
aliens showed up and... Fuck.
like Dennis Quaid had fucking ice chasing him down the hallway the day after tomorrow, and
Whoa, 2012.
And even in
Hell of a
season
year
9
we survived, wasn't it?
When I read a bit more about how that season came about, it made more sense. But what they did for season 9 is they brought in, like, they had Scully take more of a mentor role for Doggett and another character they brought in named Monica Reyes, who was the new believer. And what they were going to try to do, they were going to try to basically phase out Mulder and Scully and have these two new agents become the new lead characters. It didn't pan out.
that never really
Obviously.
does in television. Like the whole thing of like passing the torch on to new people, like
People don't like that. They like their
No.
favorite characters.
And the thing is that those episodes, they were fine. It's just it didn't feel like the X-Files that I wanted to watch. Like, I wanted to watch Mulder and Scully.
yeah,
I didn't
like,
I kind of don't like these characters. They're good characters. They're just not what I came to. They're
Like,
not
at
what I
that-
expected.
like by that point, if those actors wanted to leave after doing how many seasons, they could have very well had just ended the show.
Well, no, Gillian Anderson stayed for all 9 seasons. Scully,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Which is impressive.
but even she was getting like, there is a point where I'm probably going to end up leaving soon.
Yeah.
Like, alright, we gotta get this movie out.
They did
And
two of those
she's going to
movies.
record say she doesn't want to do any more of TV shows, but she's okay with doing more X-Files movies.
Interesting. I mean, as long as she enjoyed herself, man. People
Yeah,
like that show.
she definitely said she enjoyed doing the movies more than the later seasons of the TV show.
I'd believe it. I don't know. Maybe I'll go back and check it out. Like I said, I watched a few episodes and I enjoyed what I saw. But
It's
I'll
not
probably-
bad, but you
I-
definitely got to watch it in order, or you're going to get totally confused.
Yeah, I mean, what I do is just like the second I get bored, I'd be like, well, I'm just done. I'm just not going to push myself to.
I should
watching
probably
this.
show you the link because the link I was using had all the episodes organized by season.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like it had all the seasons in order, all the episodes in order, and it was all free. Just need to make a quick account, and it wasn't a big deal.
I have Netflix.
I'll I'll show you that link. Oh yeah, I don't have Netflix. That's why.
It's on Netflix. Anyway.
But yeah, I found that to be a very fascinating show, and I'm glad someone told me to watch it.
Okay.
And thus ends my week in review.
All right. Want to tell us about things, Chris? Tell us about school.
Back to Binding of Isaac.
Shit. So I finished my last exam back on Wednesday, and man, I wanted to fucking dance out of that college.
I feel
man.
you, dude.
I like to think that Chris just danced his way out of class.
Like Chris,
I was so glad when my finals ended too.
like Chris Pratt at the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy, just rocking it. Like, oh man, I was so glad to be done, and just especially, I'm waiting to hear back of when I get my effing degree because I'm supposed to be graduated now, like done. Then hopefully find a new fucking job next year. But aside from all of that, went home after I finished my exam. I went home and celebrated by playing more Mario Kart.
Naturally, that's what people do.
Yeah, I completed all of the time trials. Like I beat the Nintendo staff ghosts, which are really easy to do because of online features they have in this game now. Which is, for those of you who don't know, when you go to the time trials on Mario Kart, every track has ghost data that's recorded by a member of the Nintendo staff, right? And they have a decent time. And if you beat all of them for the standard tracks that are included in the game, you can get the golden tires to go with your golden cart.
Oh my god!
So much gold.
So now, one way you could do this is if you look at, their data and you're seeing like, okay, what did they do to get the time that they have? Or you do what is even better, you go to the online ghosts that is listed in the menu there.
Uh-huh.
And then you basically see who has the top time in the entire fucking world of people who play this game. Like, there are dudes...
How hard did they cheat?
I don't...
Well, you just like watch how they do it and then just replicate it?
Basically. And there's no way I could replicate all of that, because a lot of what I see for, like...
Replicate enough that you can be the times.
Yeah, like, you can watch them, you can download them so you can watch them anytime, but basically, you're seeing somebody expose every single shortcut that is in a track. And the thing with the staff ghosts in particular, there's always one shortcut that they don't take, obviously because they don't want to just outright show the player where every shortcut is. Right. But that's also how you easily beat them, is that they never take the shortcut, I'm going to use it every lap, and then kick their ass. And there are some that, like, some of the people that have, like, the best times right now shave off not just seconds, but almost a whole minute of the fucking staff ghosts. Like, that is insane. And, like, some of the stuff I see is, like, if you're ever bored, like, even if you don't have Mario Kart 8, you can go to YouTube and look up, like, some of the best times on some of these tracks. And some of the shit that people do, like, one, I see people hopping a lot. Like, not even when they're turning. They're just constantly hopping. I don't know how that's supposed to make you faster.
I imagine it's like in a lot of RPGs where bunny hopping is better than just straight up running.
It's weird. Like, they're always hopping. And then the other thing is, I see, like, this must have taken all kinds of practice for these people to do this. Obviously, because I have the best time in the fucking world. But they hug those turns like you wouldn't believe. Like, anytime they're
them so hard. Like,
it's like they're so close to
Super
the edge.
turn Sentai.
They are so close to the edge, it's amazing that they don't fall off. Some of them come incredibly close. Like, I'd have done that, yeah, I would have ate shit and fallen off that track. But they ride the edge like a fucking, like, they
know what they're doing?
Yep. Yeah, they've practiced this shit. So, and obviously, you don't have to replicate that in order to beat the staff ghost. You just have to, if you know, like I said, you know where the shortcuts are, you can fucking beat them, and it's no problem. And it's not that hard, especially because, it's a time trial. You're not racing against anybody. It's just get through the track as fast as you can, and you never have to worry about somebody shoving a turtle shell up your ass the whole time. So
I'm always worried about that in day-to-day life.
Yeah. So it's like I've got the gold cart, I got the gold tires, and the next thing is the like gold glider. Because there's always the third attachment is like a parachute or a glider that you can have on your cart, and to get that, all you have to do is collect 10,000 coins throughout the course of your playing the game. Having completed the Grand Prix, you know, done some multiplayer and the time trials, I've only got like 3,000 coins. So as much as I've played it, talking about it these past weeks, it's like, in order to get 10,000 coins, it's like I'm just going to have to play the shit out of this game. Multiplayer especially, because you get more coins that way. And the reason for that being is because if you were playing single player, you only get the coins that you pick up, right? If you play in multiplayer, the coins that are picked up by other players also go towards your account.
It kind of encourages you to play with friends then, basically.
It really does, because this works local and online. It works both ways like that. So,
well, I'm glad to have
although I
people
think
get coins last night.
Actually,
playing with friends for fun and profit.
Actually, I think correction on that. I think if you're playing online, it uses like a shared system, but it's still faster than playing by yourself. So, just do that. And that's what I've been doing is like, you know, I've been kind of binging multiplayer, and I'm glad I haven't run into like a match where like everybody is playing as Link, because I remember when that DLC for Mario Kart 8 first dropped, like almost everybody was playing as Link. It was ridiculous.
Hey guys, I'm Link. Look at me. It's like, yeah, I'm also Link. Oh, I'm also Link.
I still see a number of people that use like the Link's motorcycle, which is the Master Cycle, and see some people using amiibo costumes on there, because that's the thing that Mario Kart 8 supports, which is basically if you have like those little amiibo figures.
Is that the only thing that you can do with amiibo with that, or?
No. All it does is it unlocks a costume that you can have for your Mii to race in. So, and it's not with every amiibo figure either. Like, there's no fucking Marth racing outfit. Like, I have Samus, Star Fox, and Link, so I have those costumes for my Mii to race in, which I think is cool. Which it's also kind of adds the idea of like, I have my Mii dressed up as Link almost in this Link racing outfit, and now I ride the Master Cycle. Like, it's mine, bitch. And I even, like, at one point, like, I guess I was kind of bored, and I just played through the Grand Prix of, like, the DLC tracks, and beat those on 150cc, which felt really easy. I really have not done much else.
Well, to be fair, you've had finals, so you've been doing quite a lot.
Yes, it was a lot. It was a lot of studying, a lot of just fucking chilling out, as well as like, it kind of gave me, you know, completing school gave me an excuse to kind of binge. Also, before I get to that, I saw something that was both incredible and horrifying at the same time. I went to a local gas station, and apparently they have somebody, Reese's as a company, decided that people need a Reese cup to weigh 2 pounds. Because I saw these big oversized packages of Reese cups, and at first I thought, oh, it's like the jumbo packs that have like, you know, 20 of them in there.
Yeah.
No, it is a big oversized package that has two gigantic Reese cups in it, and each one weighs 2 pounds.
What are you gonna do with all
I'm
of
not
that?
joking. I almost would have bought it just so I could post a picture of it on Twitter, but then I was like, then I have to eat that. And I'm like,
well, you can divide it up.
I guess, but like,
Cut it up like a pie.
Because I
Reese's
think
pie.
I'd have diabetes if I tried to eat that in one sitting. Like that's just
I
like
Yeah, eat it like a pizza, like one slice at a time.
the Reese's, like the Reese cups, you know, like the peanut butter that they put in there. I like me some peanut butter,
Yep.
but the kind of peanut butter that they have in a Reese cup that's good in small doses, trying to have like 2 pounds of that shit, no way.
Yeah, they're good
like,
for like the small ones, the mini ones especially. So.
Yeah, like it's not like peanut butter that's creamy. It's peanut butter that fucking crumbles. That's what it is. It's good in small doses, but holy shit, no way would I have like 5 pounds of that or 2 pounds of that. Absolutely not. Like, I remember buying one of those like world's largest gummy cola bottles that they would have, Because fuck you if you wanted to get like one of those large gummy bears, absolutely not. But they had like these gummy cola bottles, and I bought one of those, and I remember trying to cut it with a knife.
Gummy
Holy shit.
cola?
I don't know what he's talking about anymore.
You ever seen those? Like the
No.
little,
No.
like
You
they're
lost me.
okay. So for those of you who don't know, like
Like
they
us.
used to they used to have these little gummy candies that were shaped like cola bottles,
Huh.
and they would be kind of like cola flavored, you know.
Okay. Makes no sense.
And there is, there's a website called VAT19 where they sell all kinds of crazy shit. They sell the world's largest gummy worm, world's largest gummy bear, and the one that I bought, world's largest gummy cola bottle, which in essence, like I said, those gummy candies, they're very, very small. So world's largest gummy cola bottle is basically, here is a gummy type candy that is the size of an actual cola bottle.
Damn.
And then fuck your health if you want to eat that whole thing in one sitting, because that's which you can possibly do. I almost did it.
Possibly.
Why?
Maybe not a good idea.
I
There's a
was
lot
sh-
of
I
things
was-
I could do that
I was
shouldn't
sharing
do.
it. I was sharing it, which was why I tried to cut the thing with a knife once, and Jesus Christ, is that hard
Tried to
to
literally
cut
cut it
through?
with a knife.
Cut through like little gummy candies. You can probably cut through those just because they're small. But like cutting through some massive piece of gummy candy with a knife, nope. The candy says "fuck you, knife." You're not-
Gummy.
Oh man, but yeah, giant ass Reese cups. Like, who was asking for this?
Like, who was sent like a thing to Reese's says, questions, comments, or concerns, call this. And like, I need a huge Reese's cup. I need
Yeah.
the biggest possible one you could give me.
I need an extra large Reese's cup.
Like,
You know how
I
you
can,
could supersize the burgers? I want to supersize my Reese's.
like, I can kind of imagine, like what Brandon said. If you had people to share it with, and you like divided it almost like a pizza, I guess that'd be cool. But I can't imagine.
Yeah, it's like those 2-pound Valentine's Day hearts.
Yeah, but
You don't eat those by yourself, or if you do, eat them over the course of literally months.
and the thing
Unless
is,
you just
there
want
were,
to be the saddest individual on Valentine's Day.
the thing
Like
was
my
there was
dad
other-
bought my mom one of those. It took me and my mom like about like a whole month combined
Christ.
to eat the 2-pound chocolate.
man,
Oh, that sounds sickening to me.
God, yeah, just
I don't want to think about that much chocolate.
there was some other like gigantic candies too. They had like a really big ass like Snickers bar. Like I
do like some Snickers.
I can't like I'm trying to imagine like how many peanuts do they put in one of those?
It's
Like-
like a whole bucket. Just
Yeah,
like,
like-
this is all on there. Yeah.
Like it's just lined with nothing but peanuts. Like it's
I would just love to see those in production, like hand done. Just somebody's going, yeah,
God.
plenty more peanuts. Yeah.
that'd be so
I'm gonna go home
bad.
and eat one of these.
Jesus.
Sounds great. All of a sudden.
Oh man.
Imagine if
yeah,
you eat those.
Oh man, fucking 2-pound Reese cups. This just sounds horrible.
Sounds like hell on earth.
I can't
That does
imagine-
sound like a joke to me, like some like parody movie. Be like, check out
Yeah,
this
That's a
giant piece of
fantastic
candy.
idea. Let's do it.
Let's make
Like
it.
I can't imagine this always working for like other candies. You know.
Yeah,
like-
it's gotta be like a specific type of thing that could work.
Like, who the fuck would want like a 2-pound M&M?
Yeah, it used to be so much chocolate, man.
Like, first of all, how do you get through the shell?
It's just like a thick
You
coating.
you just fucking crack it open like a coconut, or what? It's
Just banging M&Ms on the floor.
you probably. I'm terrible for laughing at this. I was gonna say you probably murder someone with a 2-pound M&M.
That might be the fucking episode title for the week.
Murder someone with a
Murder.
2-pound M&M.
I just like the idea of murder by 2-pound M&M.
You just fucking bash somebody's skull in with this massive
I would
M&M.
love to see that in court. Just like, all right, and someone take out the evidence. Someone just hauls this fucking giant M&M out. Like,
This is the murder weapon, Your Honor. I guarantee it.
They tried.
The murder
they
weapon
tried-
is very tasty, Your Honor. It's
They
delicious.
tried to use the red one so somebody wouldn't see the blood.
Someone's gonna. If this actually happens one day, I'm gonna feel so bad. Like 60 years old, and be like, somebody was murdered by a giant M&M today. Like, oh man, fuck, get that idea from me.
Oh god, you know it'd be really horrible. A fucking 2-pound Butterfinger candy bar. Holy shit.
Oh,
That's like when you hate your teeth. You
uh,
That's
The
when you
way
hate
you crack
yourself.
that thing always makes me feel weird. The way you have to like crack.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like I'm breaking it.
Like I don't know what possesses me to sometimes get a Butterfinger bar every once in a while, but while I'm eating one, I feel like I've made a mistake. Like I've just like that's the only candy bar I've had that happen. To where I'm like, I haven't had one of these in a while, and then I remember this is why.
Yep. Just fucking Snickers bar, man. That's where it's at. It's like my default candy.
Yeah, man, big ass candy though.
Yeah. Big ass candy, man.
Oh Jesus, yeah.
Something you got to share with your friends. You really can't have that much by yourself.
Nope.
I think that might actually legitimately kill you from the sugar rush.
Well,
I thought you would crash really hard.
a sugar rush in itself is really a myth that is false. It's not like sugar rush does not actually exist.
Tell that.
I found that out.
All the parents with kids going fucking nuts.
I know that.
Nope. Look it up on Snopes. You'll seriously like sugar rush is not a real thing.
I
It's
believe it.
I
Yeah.
believe it.
I mean, sugar can make you feel better, but you're talking about the idea of like sugar making you go fucking nuts.
yeah, like feeling hyperactive and stuff. Like
Well, it
especially-
increases your energy, at least for a short term.
Yeah.
but it's not like it's not something that's going
It's
to
like
make you
more awake
hyperactive.
though, not like fucking
No.
bouncing off the walls.
No, absolutely not.
'Cause
I mean,
definitely had candy and being like, yeah, I feel all right.
there was something else I was going to. Fucking. So I part of my binging that I decided to do though.
Binging on candy, binging on Mario Kart.
Well, despite the fact like I didn't get any candy, rightfully so, but like the other night I wanted to get. I had thought about like going out to dinner somewhere, but like the nice places around here get fucking packed on like a weekend or a Friday night or Saturday night. So no way was that happening. But I did end up spending like $30 on myself when I decided to like get some pizza and have it brought home.
yeah.
And I didn't just want like any pizza, you know, like this is one time a night where I'm not going to go to fucking Little Caesars because I can have that shit every day. But I
You ordered
like
pizza from my work, right? Had it delivered from Georgia to Ohio.
no, that cost me a lot more than $30.
You have to, I could probably do it and be like, you're gonna have to pay gas money.
Shit.
You just sleep.
Yep. It's like semi-truck hours basically getting in here. But no, I got something from Papa John's, and originally I was gonna try to get like this chili cheese pizza that they had, which
They
is
always
just
doing weird shit with their pizza.
yeah, with like topped with Fritos, but they didn't have it. But what they did have was a Philly cheesesteak pizza, and what this was so there's no tomato sauce. They basically just put like garlic sauce on it.
Oh, that might be a little too much for me.
Then it's like, you know, the typical kind of cheese that you would expect on a pizza, but then the rest of it is steak, green peppers, and onions. And I ate half of that in one night.
Oh, that's how
And
you
the thing-
tell yourself you did well.
Oh god, well, here's the thing. And this is just going to make me sound like a horrible pig, but I had half of that, and on top of that pizza, I also ordered like a medium-sized pepperoni pizza because there was
Bonus
part of me,
pizza.
there was part of me that just kind of felt like, what if I want like standard ass pizza, you know, to go with
Yeah,
this?
like
And
what if I
had,
eat this and I'm like, yeah, I just don't want all of this right now.
like I had 2 slices of that, and then 8 buffalo wings to go with it.
Damn, man, you had a night.
Oh
And I
shit!
thought I was a fat ass.
Yeah, and
He's
then
fucking hooking himself up, man. He's hanging out.
then rather than like having like a couple cans of soda, I bought like a 2-liter bottle for myself.
Yeah.
But like,
This sounds fucking great. To me
yeah,
now. That is just the ultimate night of like, I don't give a fuck, man. I'm just
Nope.
gonna indulge.
That's like when
No.
you go to bed and then immediately when you wake up you have to go in the toilet for 2 hours.
Just like I really have to sit down.
that actually, like, I'm surprised I did not wake up feeling like shit the next day. I actually,
you
okay.
should have.
I probably should have because I drank half of that bottle, and
Man,
Jesus Christ,
my
dude!
stomach would not be able to take that. I would be fucking dying
I
in the
can't-
morning.
apparently
For me-
you two.
For me, half a pizza from a delivery place, that's all that I can eat, really.
Period. Yeah.
Well, apparently you two are pussies because
Then a couple glasses of water and I'm done.
I had all that and I was fine the next morning.
Yeah. I could not eat much. Like I was.
And
Like-
then, like,
Like if you give me an hour afterwards, I might be able to have some ice cream afterwards. But that's
Like, I bought that 2-liter of fucking grape soda, and it was $1. $1. That just makes
That's
me.
how they get you, man. They're just
I
like,
love
fuck
that
it. It's just so stupidly cheap.
I love that soda is less expensive than water.
Like, that's
Well,
the thing.
Not only that, but like you can't even get a small bottle of soda out of vending machine for $1 anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like $1.50 or
Well,
$1.40.
25.
It's just the 2 liters are so cheap because the cans are like, like $5 for a 12-pack. It's like,
And
why
if
just
you-
pay $1
if you
and
live
get my
in
plastic
Delaware-
cups for $1.
In Delaware, there's a law where if you buy a bottle of soda, you pay a small bottle tax on it.
Is that like because people don't recycle or something?
I'm not entirely sure why that is,
Hmm.
but I didn't know until a coworker of mine bought one, because I always just buy a bottle of water.
Yeah.
And you don't pay a bottle tax on a bottle of water, but you do on a soda.
Oh, I wonder if that's like a anti-corporation thing. I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's
Could just be a thing. I don't know.
I mean, it wouldn't make any
States do
sense
things.
because Coke and Pepsi own bottled water companies.
That's true. They own Downsea.
Like
Whatever.
Dasani is owned by Pepsi.
Right.
Memory serves.
I thought that was Coke.
Could be the other way around, yeah.
Yeah, I think Pepsi might own the lake.
Does it really matter?
It's just fucking water. It's not like there's like varieties of water.
Although, fun fact, everyone knows it's a commonly known thing that if you do a blind taste test, generally Pepsi is better than Coke. In terms
I
of a blind
live
taste
near
test?
Atlanta, so I'm gonna say no to that because I'll be shot on sight otherwise.
Well, yeah, it's a confirmed fact. If you do a blind taste test, people would generally prefer Pepsi over Coke. However, if you have them drink the entire can, people prefer Coke over Pepsi in a blind taste test.
I believe it. I mean,
And
the thing is, like, I like Pepsi, but like, I think I like the idea of Pepsi more. Like drinking it gets a little
In
too sweet for
small
me.
sips, people prefer Pepsi. If you're
Yeah.
doing the whole can, people prefer Coke.
I could drink either one, and I
Pepsi's a little too
honestly
sweet for me over a whole can.
I honestly don't really have
Very
a
interesting.
preference.
I find that incredibly fascinating.
Actually, something I just thought of. I think one of the reasons why I did not feel like total shit when I woke up this morning was, like I said, I got just grape soda. It's caffeine free. I think if I would have had something with caffeine in it, I probably would have felt terrible.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah,
Oh
because
yeah, I try to avoid caffeine if I can.
like it can make you feel awake for a bit, but like then if you have too much of it, it just fucks with you in
It's just
really bad ways. So yeah, just having like non-caffeinated soda, I think I was probably all right. So yeah, and like this big ass this Philly steak cheese pizza that I finished earlier because that turned out like that was money I spent on that. I'm not wasting that. It was pretty fucking good.
For no.
I even ate that pepperoni pizza not too long ago either, so
Man, I'm making
none of that went to waste. And the thing was, like, I was having all that while watching Guardians of the Galaxy because that's on DVD now.
I'm just thinking about pizza now.
Brandon,
mean,
if you haven't watched, if
I'm
you
gonna
haven't
get that
watched
for
Guardians,
Christmas more than likely.
yeah, that's a good fucking movie.
The soundtrack was free on Google Play for a while.
See, a lot of people like. For me, what I do every year for Christmas, and I'm probably going to talk about this a bit more when we actually get to that point in time in the year, is that I have my parents buy me a lot of movies because games are too expensive for them to buy,
Yep.
and then I just binge watch them on Christmas Day. That's what I do every year is that I get a ton of movies and I start binge watching them Christmas Day, and then we have the Christmas party later, and then I go back home, I sleep, and then I keep binge watching the movies. I do it every year. Like I don't go to the theaters that much anymore, but that's what I do. I just binge watch lots of movies that I've missed in
Yeah, my
previous
parents-
years.
My parents do the standard like Christmas movie thing, like open up stuff in the morning and then like a few hours later, like all right, we're gonna go to the movies together.
And if my
get
parents
dinner."
want to, they're free to watch, but they're not forced to. I'm not gonna sit here and say you gotta watch movies with me. It's not a restriction. Like no, this is just me. This is just me. If you want to,
Lucky 5.
like, if you want to, sure. If not, it's more for me.
It's fine. Family.
But yeah, that's just like my holiday tradition is that I binge watch movies every year, or every Christmas time. Something that I do.
For me, Christmas time is binging on the games that I had just recently gotten. So
Yep. For me, it's been installing computer parts the past few years, and then just putting on a game. Be like, how many more frames can I squeeze out of this bitch? It's like 5 more. Good, worth the money. I still remember, what was it? I guess 2 years ago, when I got my computer and I got Assassin's Creed 4, and I was fucking blown away. Assassin's Creed 3 was just so bad.
I'm
Oh my God,
When I
yes.
saw 4, it blew my fucking mind.
I imagine 4 got even more well received just because of the contrast to 3.
Just the colors, man. It was just, look how blue it is.
speaking of 4. I'm tempted to get that game on my Wii U. Just play it there, but
I actually, in my
That probably wouldn't be worth it, honestly.
in my pocket, I have pocket be like the web service thing. I have a Watch Dogs Wii U review I've been meaning to read. I have to know. Fucking Watch Dogs got a Wii U version. I have to know.
I see people in the Miiverse talking about that shit when I start up, like saying this is the best version.
Then I have to know. I'm not gonna buy it. I'm not that crazy. Come on.
No, I already
read
made the
about
mistake
it.
of buying it on PS3, but
Yeah,
Man,
Watch
Assassin-
Dogs wasn't that bad. It's just
No.
it wasn't that bad.
like Assassin's Creed 4, I probably won't get a Wii U simply because
Assassin's
of the fact
Creed 3 was terrible, and I won't hear any word otherwise.
I'm not saying
cannot
I'm
wait
not
until
saying
Chris-
anything
But
about
Assassin's
that.
Creed 4 was awesome.
Chris, please tell me you're playing Assassin's Creed 3 on the Wii U. Because
That-
that's the definitive
It didn't
way
come
to
out
play.
for the Wii U.
It did.
It did come out on the Wii U.
It
It,
did.
actually did.
Really?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yeah,
Yes.
Giant Bob did a quick look of it.
Oh
Like
my
their
God.
Wii U launch party. Like, see
My
Assassin's
friend-
Creed 3.
My friend Rita actually played it on that, on the Wii U.
Rita, I'm so sorry. Rita, I like her too much for her.
Like I
to have
said,
to-
I have Assassin's Creed 3 on my 360 because it was $8 in a bargain bin at GameStop, but like I probably won't get the Wii U version of 4 simply because I don't think Ubisoft has cared to put like the Freedom Cry stuff on there. So
No, they haven't.
no.
Ubisoft doesn't put DLC on the Wii U.
Yeah,
That's stupid.
It's funny that Patrick Klepek in the most recent bombcast they did said Freedom Cry would have been like one of his big Game of the Year contenders, but he said he totally forgot about it because it was so early in the year. But he
Yeah,
liked
it
that
was
much.
actually a really good expansion.
Yeah, I played a little bit of it.
Talking about Destiny and its DLC earlier, like Freedom Cry was a very good expansion to Black Flag.
It was a good standalone expansion too.
Exactly.
Didn't need Far Cry 4, even though Far Cry 4 was a pretty good game.
Well, you mean
You mean
Assassin's Creed 4?
Same difference.
You know what? It probably is.
You just
Well, no. They're both Ubisoft the game, but Far Cry the shooter,
That's what I meant.
Far Cry the shooter, and Assassin's Creed's a
you were the one who
platform.
said their games are all the same.
And Watch Dogs really made that clear how samey the Ubisoft formula has gotten.
Yep.
Hey guys, you want to go climb this tower to unlock
Oh
areas surrounding
God,
area
that
of the
reminds
crew?
me. Like, didn't we mention this last week? Like that.
How the crew is Ubisoft the game with cars.
Like, okay, no, actually, I'm thinking of a Jim Sterling video because he was talking about he had made some joke about cars having to park.
Yes, he made a Twitter joke where he was like, "You should park
then-
around these towers." And all the comments were like, "No, you actually park near satellite dishes to
That's
unlock
so
parts of the map."
dumb.
Yep,
It's fucking
Jim
funny.
fucking Sterling, son.
Oh God.
Quote from Jim fucking Sterling, son.
Exactly.
Just it's incredible, isn't it? Isn't it? The thing is, I'm gonna get the crew because I have to know.
You don't have to.
No, I do. I have to drive from the west coast to the east coast, and I just have to know.
Just let me know whether or not if this would be worth $20 because if it was that price, then yes. But
See, that's the thing is like I also wonder like if it'd be way better with friends. So if I could like buy it for that and then play it and then just be like, "Hey, friends." Although one of the reviews I saw said like the races are balanced for the highest player, so it's actually really difficult to play with friends unless you all start at the same time.
what?
So the car AI in races is balanced for whoever's the highest level. where
That
you
sounds
have
kind of shit.
empirically better parts.
Yeah.
Ooh, that game. Crew 2 is probably going to be better. Because you know what's going to happen. The game could sell like
Yes.
5 copies, and they're still going to be like, well, we already fucking made the Crew 2 anyway, so...
They're halfway done with it.
Yep.
I think with that though,
Think with that, is that all we got?
sure. Stay tuned next week when we do our year-end review of.
I guess. Is that going to be next week? It's probably next week.
Sure, why not?
Gonna have to be at some point.
Yeah, because it's like the other week's probably going to be the fucking holidays and just going over what we got. But
True.
but
Alright, so next podcast. Chris guarantees it.
yep,
he'll
I'm
make it
calling it.
Yep. Check it out.
And don't worry, folks. This isn't going to be game of the year of like here's best PS4.
Sorry,
No,
Chris,
this-
we
It'll
didn't
be
tell you.
almost.
We already
It'll
hired
be
Jeff
almost like
Keighley.
a.
Don't tell him. We hired
Well-
Jeff Keighley's soul.
Well, I mean, we do have a trending gamer award.
It's true.
Ah.
Goes to Brandon. He's the trending
Obviously.
gamer. No, we discussed this in passing, I think, at one point, but just in case I haven't said on recording yet, our awards aren't going to be best genre. It's more of ideas, like a biggest surprise or most disappointing game, or, like, fucking. We have a bunch of stupid shit that I'm not going to say because I don't know
Or
how many
best
more
of
we can put in there.
mechanics. Or
Yeah.
something like that.
Like, we want to come up with, like, different awards that you won't see at other places, because everyone else has probably played 3 times as many games as we have, any, like, renowned website, so we're just not even going to try to fight that battle.
And even
No.
and even worse, that a lot of the games, like I don't know about you guys, but a lot of games that I've played this year have been old games.
Yep.
It's like, it's that, we don't play every game that comes out, and, like, Chris doesn't play that many RPGs, or, nobody plays as many shooters as I do, so we couldn't have, like, a best shooter. 'cause
And no one
it'd be
plays as
me.
many Atlas games as I do.
I
We're
definitely
gonna have a best Atlas game that best Atlas games that Brandon played this year. Didn't have to come out this year, but the best one he played this year.
most shit getting wrecked this year.
Biggest fuck up at launch. Oh, that's gonna be a long list.
Oh yeah, we totally have to do that.
Yep.
It's
Best
almost
episode
sad.
of the X Files.
Episode 47 is the best of the X Files.
This is gonna be awful/great.
It's gonna be the best thing we've ever done.
I would hope so.
Well, look forward to it, guys. You guys have any quick shout outs for the week? As far as stuff?
I'm not doing a damn thing because I'm done with classes and I still have to work, but
Chris, I'm downloading Resident Evil 6 and Aliens right now. We're gonna play them.
Shit.
That's what we're gonna do with your holiday season.
you know what? We might as well. We
I
might
want-
as well.
I have to fucking finish those games. I just have to know.
Well,
That's
at
what-
least I will say the first thing, I'll help you get through Dead Space 3. That'll be the
Okay.
first thing.
And then we can finish Aliens.
Yep.
And then Resident Evil 6 will be like, well, we're here.
That's going to be our begrudging task of finishing RE6. That's
Alright.
oh god.
I guess just a quick shout for a thing I've got, I'll link it in the description, is that I finished an anime I was watching last week called Mayo Chiki. And instead of... when I was telling people I was going to do an article about this, everybody thought I was writing a review of the anime, and I was like, no, because the anime overall is kind of not great. But I actually wrote basically just a thought piece on one of the characters in the series named Konoe Subaru, and how she's a girl who has to pretend to be a male butler in order to protect her friend. So I basically wrote an article about, like, having to live as, like, some kind of secret gender, and how I thought the series could have explored that more, and that kind of thing. I thought it was interesting to discuss.
Huh.
And I think that'll be it for everybody.
Yeah.
So we will see
Yeah.
you guys next week for not Game of the Year deliberations. We're gonna have a Game of the
Sure.
Year, but like that's gonna be like the least interesting part.
There's going to be some arguments break out.
Game of the Year is gonna be a fun one
Yep.
because I don't think we're gonna like ultimately decide on any award. Like
No.
this is the best, except Game of the Year, because we're gonna have to fight for that one just because it'll be fun. It's like, no, you're
Sure.
fucking wrong.
There's no argument. He's just wrong.
Just Sam is objectively wrong every episode.
Oh shit.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.
Yep. Later.